Welcome back to the kick-off. How's it going, lads? You all right?
I feel good. Do you feel embarrassed because you didn't put your team in the top four and then now you're looking at them like, oh.
See, that the thing is...
Straight in.
Wow. That's mad, you know. I don't even know.
He didn't
we
even
were
breathe.
friends.
He didn't even
like
breathe.
8 seconds before this, bro. I just came in, yo.
Okay. Look, how can I be embarrassed? How can I be embarrassed?
You didn't back
We won 5-1.
You didn't back
With all
them.
due respect, Dan should be embarrassed here. Dan's a Villa fan.
true.
I didn't even know the season had started.
Mate.
I thought it was today the season
It
started.
starts next week for you, lot.
Yeah, it
We'll
definitely
call
does.
this pre-season next week. But shout out to the boys. Thanks for coming back. And today it's Chelsea versus Liverpool. Josh, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling really nervous. I was just saying, I feel like it's like the first day of school when you go in and like you've got to meet your teacher for the first time. You don't know whether they're going to be any good. You don't know if all your mates are going to get on and whether they're all going to meet up. So I'm feeling that sort of like nervous energy.
You literally have a squad of players who don't have a clue who each other are.
Yeah.
And,
So actually
and they
that's-
are schoolboys.
That is literally, yeah, it is a lot like that. How's Marv? How you been, mate?
I'm fantastic. I just want to let you know that I'm tanned. I've just come back from Antigua. I've had the best time of my life. I look fantastic. I feel fantastic. And Arsenal won 2-1.
Yeah, brilliant. And we did the pre-season chat. We're gonna get into Arsenal a bit more later on. But did you see any of the clips that went out? Or?
I saw 1 or 2. And look, I don't actually watch the clips when I'm not in them. Yeah,
That's crazy.
Because a lot of
Ego.
the things that people say, notably KG, it's just nonsense. So
Thanks for supporting the
there's
channel.
only so much nonsense that I can listen to in a day. So I try to look at content, usually my own thoughts, as a way of understanding what the landscape of football is, because it's unreliable from this gentleman to my left.
Okay.
And I love him personally. So
Thanks
when
for
we leave
coming
here,
in, AJ.
wait. When I leave here,
Yeah.
this is an incredible human being.
Yeah.
He's honest, he's kind,
Thank
he's
you.
thoughtful. He calls me about his feelings.
More honest.
But in this room,
Yeah.
he's a blood clot. That's what I'm saying.
Can I say that we're going to, this is the 7th year of Marvin
is?
still owing me money.
I was going to say the 7th year of the kickoff, but 7th year of Marvin.
Yeah, Marvin still owing me money.
long
Again, he's a
story.
great manager. The time that he managed me in the beginning of my career and stuff. Thank you so much for stealing. No, what's crazy is I haven't seen you since Arsenal and the explosion of how you was last season. You was very difficult to work with, a lot of people said, because you were really excited about what you thought was going to happen, and then after you just went missing, and I don't understand what happened.
So what you have to understand, outside of this space, I'm a very important character, and I do a lot of things globally. So not all the time I'm at home sitting there waiting for you to discuss things that top 2 teams should be discussing.
Yeah.
There are only Manchester City fans out there who are actually from Manchester.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
love to talk to you about the title challenge from last year. Anybody else who isn't from that space, it's none of your business.
All right, wicked. Well, I hope you've learned from your mistakes last season, because
No. I still have energy, and you're not playing until Monday. So I would be worried about the striker that you signed, who's already injured and actually can't start for you, and the amount of money you wasted on him.
Don't worry.
On Haaland Light.
The new.
But I think the most important thing is that you are a good person outside of this space. That's what people need to
So are
understand.
you.
Just in the space, total
Blood
Arsenal.
clot.
No, so welcome back. That was it. Did get a little bit testy there immediately. I thought we were all
Apologies.
friends, but it's fine. Today, as I said, Chelsea versus Liverpool. I really don't know what to expect from this game, because Chelsea have a brand new squad, pretty much brand new manager. They are like the X factor of the Premier League. I don't know what we can expect from them, but when we played them in pre-season, I was impressed with them, to be honest. The kid Jackson up front was lethal. He really caught our defence off guard. He was so quick, so mobile, and his intelligence to run in behind. Wow, I was like, you might be like one of those players who scores an abnormal amount of goals for his first proper season in that role for Chelsea. But with Liverpool, it's the midfield, it's the questions about this Caicedo transfer that's sort of... It's embarrassing, isn't it? Because you've got this situation, I'll try and break it down. Dan's the transfer expert here, but you've got a case where 110 million, it's all happening for Chelsea, and then Liverpool get fed up with the Lavia chase. They're haggling over like 5 to 2 million, whatever it was. They're like, okay, enough of that. We're going for the Premier League record for Caicedo. They agree a deal with Brighton. Oh my God, like Chelsea aren't going to get him anymore. It's all happening. And then the guy turns around and goes, actually, no, I don't want to go to you. I only want to go to Chelsea. To agree a deal that would be be a Premier League record. Bearing in mind, they said they didn't have the money for Bellingham.
Yeah.
Now, I know that they've sold a couple in the meantime, but to then go above and beyond after Klopp said all this stuff about big money transfers and look down on it,
And I'll quit my job.
and then you're there agreeing a deal, and the guy, you don't even know if he wants to come to you, and then he turns you down and then decides, I'm going to Chelsea. The whole thing seems a bit of a mess. Dan, what do you make of it, mate?
Yeah, that last point that you've just made is bizarre because that's not how transfers are done. Teams don't make it public that they're in for a player unless they're pretty sure that there's interest from that player. A lot of the times the personal terms have already been agreed. And I did think Klopp's press conference was a little bit embarrassing for him. Not his fault. But I think it was a little bit embarrassing for him that he ended up talking about a player publicly, but clearly didn't know what was going on with Caicedo and Chelsea. So that agreement sounds like it's been in place since May. And Caicedo, although Liverpool have come in and had the offer accepted, he feels that he's already given his verbal agreement to Chelsea, and he wants that Chelsea move. So Liverpool have found themselves in a bizarre space now where they've publicly admitted who their number one target was. They've made the bid. It's been accepted. But they're probably not even ever going to talk to him.
The whole thing is brutally embarrassing.
But the most embarrassing thing seems to be, though, is they're now going to... So you think to yourself, okay, we've missed up on Caicedo. We'll just go back to Lavia. Problem. Chelsea also want him. And it looks like they're going to get him as well. So you can't even go back to the other girl that you decided wasn't
This
good
is
enough
it.
for you.
This is what people are saying right now. On the timeline, it's saying basically they're taking the girlfriend and the side chick. Wow, bro, they taking bro, imagine, you can't believe it. You're sitting there and the problem now is the money that you said that you don't have, we all know you have it. You was about to fork out 110 million.
Oh, yeah, so every other club now has been put on notice of what you've really got.
Oh, yeah.
And also going back to the way FSG have just ran Liverpool for so long, like... We were talking before the show about how, you know, they don't, like, can they spend money? Yes, they can spend money, but they tend not to sell players until it's too late, until the value you're going to get from them is squeezed out of them because you've had to keep playing James Milner at that age, keep playing Jordan Henderson. And FSG have just been exposed for absolute mugs. We all know that they're not the best, but they really do look stupid. You're getting Lavia and Caicedo, Josh. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I'm delighted about it. We've got two of the best young midfielders, DMs, that you could ever imagine. So I'm absolutely chuffed. What I find a bit weird is that, like, we've obviously made moves for these guys beyond August, and then Liverpool coming in and they're just trying to, like, come in at the last minute. We're hijacking the hijackers. I love it. Like, that's the fun bit. But what we've got to make a point here is that FSG are running the club really poorly because we've made all of the ground moves to get Lavia and Caicedo in already. Joe Shields has been out there. He's best mates with Lavia. He loves Caicedo, and they've been making moves since May, right? So, like, I don't know how Liverpool are being run, where they think they can just come in and make a difference now in the transfer window when
It's
we've
the
done
name.
all the but the name means nothing if you aren't courting these big level players and making them feel special. You've seen it with Bayern and Kane. They've made him feel special, and that's why he's going there. And if you don't do it with Caicedo,
even with Arteta and the job that he did on Declan Rice,
Arsenal are doing this really well at the moment. Like, your director of football and your sort of like board level team, you're like doing a presentation, making them feel loved and respected. And we're trying to do that with our targets as well. And like Liverpool, they're just not playing in that level. They're not. I feel they're a bit naive.
They've lost
to
the
be
knack,
fair.
haven't they?
Yeah.
They've
Is
lost
that a
knack
new
that they had.
piece? Is that a new piece that's happening in football in terms of that courting process with players? Because you're starting to hear people rolling out the red carpet a lot more now during transfers.
Everything's just played out in public now, isn't it? There's so many documentaries around football clubs as well, so much behind the scenes content, and that stuff has become really important. And probably maybe 3-4 years ago, Liverpool's transfer policy will have been the envy of most teams, the way they did things.
They seem to be ahead of the game.
Yeah, Michael Edwards. What's happened is Liverpool have now lost a couple of their heads of transfers, the people that are looking after transfers.
Pretty sure one of them's at Newcastle.
Yeah, so they've now ended up in this kind of mishmash where Klopp's heavily involved. But, you know, I love Jurgen Klopp in fairness, but that kind of stuff isn't what he's there for, is it? He's the manager of the team. He's the head coach of the team. So Liverpool have ended up now in this weird space, and they're struggling to make moves. And also, the other teams have just got more money. FSG trying
Yeah.
working his self-sustained.
No, he's got money. We're not
Yeah,
gonna. We're
but
not
they're
gonna.
just putting a bid for 150,
No, but
110 million pounds. They've got
110.
money, haven't they?
Commercially, they say
Yeah.
they can't. They're not making the money that the
But that's
other
their way
teams
of
are
being
making.
cheap.
Do you not think though that they've let themselves get to a point where they've let the squad deteriorate to such a degree that it's like a stitch in time saves nine. So you see other teams where they're replenishing as they're going. Okay, you're like Pep does. When you're just about heading
Yeah.
there, we'll get someone younger in. Whereas with Klopp, I mean, letting the Milner and Hendo situation get to that point, and then he's having to go and break the bank. It smacks of we're not organised.
What I would say is that Liverpool have been very good at doing that with their front three. There's been a lot of succession planning with their front three, but that hasn't been done anywhere else on the pitch. So they've probably got issues at centre back. They don't really have adequate backup at full back, and they've let the midfield get into the situation now where they needed new blood anyway. They've now lost Fabinho and Henderson, who they wouldn't have expected to lose this summer. But I would have said even before they went, they needed a couple of midfielders.
Can we talk about, just before we get into the actual game, round this off, of what we sort of see happening for Liverpool this season around the table? Marvin, what are you thinking?
For me, with Liverpool, I think they may, between them and Chelsea for fourth place, I think this game would be a really good insight into who will actually make it. My immediate suspicions is Liverpool, because I think they have had a bit more consistency year on year in terms of their players. And I think Chelsea have got way too much to figure out in this season. But because Chelsea are not in Europe, it just means that they just get a free crack, and they have a very comprehensive squad to have a free crack at the league. So it'll be an interesting battle. But I do think that they've signed, a Brighton midfielder, RB Leipzig midfielder, and then they've kind of gone back again. They've lost a lot. So I don't know if it's even enough. I'll be interested to see who else
if they get an injury in that midfield, then damn. They're in trouble.
They're in trouble.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say very quickly earlier is just that I feel like as a club, Liverpool have failed in many, many ways. Because, and this is something that Arsenal did back in the day. We said we had no money, but then we saw top quality midfielders going, like Leicester signed Kante for like 7.5, and then Chelsea signed him for 35, and we went and bought Saka for 35. So there are players and opportunities to buy players at a reasonable rate early, and they're not doing that in the right way. So their recruitment is really, really poor, and they end up overspending on players after one season in the Premier League, which is absolutely absurd. There's no comparison between Rice and Caicedo being 105, 110 million. He should not be at 110 million after one season in the top flight. And we've seen with like Cucurella and other Chelsea players, players that Chelsea have bought, they're not always going to just work at the same level.
Wait, you don't think Rice and Caicedo are on the same level?
No, I don't know.
Wow.
Well, before we get into that, in regards to will Liverpool finish in the top four, does anyone think no?
I would say no at the moment.
Really?
I think it may be a point where they get to a certain point in the season and they'll negotiate their path in the Europa League. Top four, I think top two is pretty set. After that, I think it's tight between a lot of teams. I think Liverpool, unless they do good business now, may find themselves in the position where they have to throw all their eggs in the basket of winning the Europa League to get in the Champions League.
See, when I look at Liverpool and I look at their most world-class players, I think they've got a few more than Newcastle. But our balance to our squad
Team
is far more even. When I look throughout the team, whereas Liverpool, they are a big pair of tits. They're heavy at the top, and even so much so that they're starting today with Gakpo, Salah, Jota, and Diaz.
Yeah.
And the two in the middle, who are the most recognised midfielders, are Szoboszlai and McAllister, who are both attacking midfielders.
Szoboszlai has played as a winger, and McAllister last year was playing as a number 10.
Yeah, so
that's open.
It's very open. And look, we know that this is going to be the rest of the season, but right now they're looking at shambles in the
They'll
transfer
do something though. The funny thing is, and I get what Klopp's
It'll be
done
desperate
as well.
though, won't it?
It'll be desperation, but again, it's one of those things where we've done it in before. Like it's been Man United's go-to, where the little cheeky phone call from Alex Ferguson, and you think the deal's going to be done. And we saw that it didn't work anymore because Jude Bellingham, we brought him in to do the Jude Bellingham one. It doesn't work. So Klopp kind of resided on, well, we're Liverpool, whoever we call is going to want to play for this club.
Oh, speaking of Jude Bellingham, that was done. He just had the fucking debut of debuts.
it was
I watched
brilliant.
his Real Madrid debut.
Wicked.
Mate, number 5 Zinedine Zidane, I was like, will he be, overwhelmed? Absolutely owned it. He was born to play. And like we've seen him do the all-out action style for Madrid, and yet he was there, just class, silky. He ran the show. It was one of the best debuts you've seen.
He's different.
Oh, yeah, he's
The
that
kid
guy.
And now I don't even, like, Birmingham were laughed at when they retired his shirt number. Oh, it's worked out.
And look, just to put a different slant on it, because if Liverpool fans are watching, I don't think I'm being doom and gloom about them, because when they played Newcastle at the end of last season, Gakpo and players like him, they were ruthless, and it was one of the most frightening attacks that I've seen at St James's in years. So attacking wise, there's not a debate. They're world class pretty much. They're one of the most well backed teams in world football. But it's just the rest of it that I'm not sure about, especially with the defence, because as we've seen, Van Dijk isn't the player he was, and we just don't know what's going to be happening at the back with Trent. I mean, he's right back today. Will that stay the same way? I don't know.
Wouldn't you say though? But isn't Klopp like still probably the second best manager in the Premier League? Is that fair to say?
I'd agree with that.
Is that fair to say in terms of what he's
in the
been
last
able
10
to,
years? Yeah.
What he's been able to squeeze out of that team and make them like those dangerous. Like there was a chance of them, even though it didn't happen. That quadruple thing was really on.
But isn't that the key factor why we're still considering them to be up there in the top 4? Because if you're looking purely from a squad balance perspective, they don't have a balanced squad. It's as simple as that, isn't it? So like Klopp is for me is the X factor where I'm now like going, they could get in the top 4 over Chelsea, over a Man United because of Klopp.
But I look at those two teams today, the Chelsea lineup and the Liverpool lineup, and on paper, I'm looking at that Chelsea team with the 3 at the back and thinking, you know what, that's a good team, that's a good setup they've got there. I'm looking at that Liverpool one and thinking there could be some serious holes in that team. When Trent starts marauding forward and coming into that midfield that's already a very attacking midfield, you're suddenly very open.
You've got a 10 and an 11.
Yeah.
In your
You have the
defensive
Chelsea
midfielder
lineup,
position, you're going to struggle.
Just to go through it with you, Josh, because speaking of what you've just said there with the attack, obviously we've got 2 quite attacking midfielders for Liverpool in the middle, and then 4 very attacking players ahead of those. If you don't win that battle and you don't score some goals and put them to the sword, with the way they're set, with 5 in the midfield, Chelsea, and 2 up front with Sterling and Jackson, we could see them dominate possession here, and if Liverpool go behind, I could say, it could get bad.
It shows Poch's tactical nous, what he's just done there. He's realised that they have a weak midfield and he's packed it.
That's what I think he's done. But they've both gone for completely different strategies, which seems it's a bit like, KG's a big boxing lad. Sometimes in a fight, someone's deluded.
Yeah.
and that's what makes it really fun. And in this, I'm watching the way they've both set their stall up completely differently, and I'm like, you haven't matched each other here.
Yeah.
So one of you is horrifically wrong.
Yeah. But I like when big teams play each other because they should try and play the way they want to play.
Yeah.
And
instead of cancelling each other out, which we see a lot of.
Yes, and what they've done is it's both 2 positive type managers, really. That and first game of the season, you want to send a message. I think you guys sent a message the other day. Arsenal sent a brilliant message, and again, he's trying to say, "Listen, I'm a top 4 contender. Take me seriously." And obviously, you need to, with Poch jumping into this Chelsea job. I don't know how the fans have taken him into their hearts. He has to send a message as well.
Yeah. And he's done incredibly well with the tactical setup over pre-season, and he has played the 5 at the back over pre-season. We saw more of a 4 at the back throughout the summer, but he has played that system, so the boys can do it.
Who's your like standout guys who you're looking at this season and going, they're the ones we're going to try and build this team around? I was impressed with Jackson, but any others?
Yeah, I think Enzo, for me, will actually probably end up playing further forward, and I think that's where he actually is better. I think he's better.
And then Lavia or Caicedo will come in?
Maybe both of them, yeah. Maybe both of them in playing in behind.
Can I just address the obvious, though? We're not really honouring the fact that Chelsea has spent £600 million, and I look at their first 11 and I can't see £600 million.
It might actually go up to like more than that after Caicedo and Lavia.
So that which could be 750. Yeah, so it could be quite easily £800 million you spend. And then if you look at it, we don't look at that team and think, I know exactly where they spent that money, and that strike force looks crazy, and that midfield. It still looks like, where's all this money gone?
It's an embarrassment.
Do you know what I think it is, though?
It's an embarrassment.
To give them a little bit of... They've gone young. They haven't gone like... Man United, when they've spent a lot of money, it's like Casemiro, Mason Mount. You can see, aside from the strike of the Highland, it's a lot of proven players that they went through, whereas Chelsea have just gone like the best of the young.
But the thing is, they're not in Europe. So in reality, signing that many players doesn't actually make sense because they can't actually, as a group, get enough game time to facilitate that much signings. If they went away and forced the Kane issue, or went and got an actual signing and just we would have respected it more if we looked at it and saw Kane, I don't know, Neymar or something, João Felix, anyone that we recognise as a balance to the fact that you've got a lot of these young kids that no one knows, but they're not going to play.
But Poch, though, that's the element that we have to.
Isn't it a bit rich though, coming from an Arsenal fan, picking, you're packing your Arsenal squad with as many quality young players as you can. And
Odegaard is Odegaard.
But I got abused the other day because I was saying that Chelsea have the best under 25 squad in the league. Right, but your strategy is exactly the same. So to come in and say that Chelsea are recruiting in a poor way and you don't know where the quality is, that's just not true.
Let's just be very
we'll
clear.
See the quality this
Let's
season.
just be very clear, okay? When we talk about the rebuild was anchored by Martinelli and Saka, and by the time Martinelli was already being identified and seen and proven to be a good player, and then Saka has come through and being very, very clear. So a lot of it came from within. We didn't sign that many players from without. If you think about the players that we did sign, you look at Odegaard, that we already knew who he was beforehand. He just couldn't get a chance at Real Madrid. He's definitely a very good player, and he's turned out to be even better than we realised. We've nabbed Jesus, Zinchenko. These are not players that are like 17-year-olds from Brazil, and then they've cost whatever they've cost, and they're not going to feature in your team. So it's a slightly different strategy. And also, what makes it even make less sense is that Chelsea have a really good academy. You've loaned out Hall, who played really, really good last year. You've loaned him out now, or about to loan him out, if he hasn't confirmed it already. And you've signed a whole bunch of other players. So I'm not saying that it's bad. We don't know yet. We're all going to watch it live. But what I'm saying is, it's definitely not the same as Arsenal. And I feel like you've spent a lot of money, and I can't see it on the pitch.
But we're damned if we do and damned if we don't with you, though, because and with all fans here, because they go, oh, if you sign Harry Kane for 100 million, it's a disgrace. You've come in too late. You've spent all of this money. It's ridiculous. But if we spend 60 million on an amazing wonder kid who is going to come through and be worth 120 million in 3 years' time, like that's seen as then a bad deal because
you overspent on Mudryk. You should have signed a proper striker. You're still playing Sterling. It's weird. How many wingers do you have? You have Maguire.
Lukaku was still in the squad technically.
Lukaku's still in the
squad.
At
Chelsea. No, he's not in the squad.
It's an absolute.
You see Juventus fans protesting.
Yeah, it is. It's just for me. It's just absolute chaos. And I'm not saying it as a way of just jabbing you as an opposing fan base.
Bro.
No, because
I was about to compliment Arsenal.
No. It's not a anti-Chelsea conversation. I'm confused. I'm watching as somebody who would. I'm intrigued. If you went and bought Harry Kane and got Neymar out of PSG and I would understand. Them got all these youngsters around.
You would be laughing
Hold
at
on
me.
a second.
You would be laughing if we signed
Neymar. I laughed
Neymar.
at João Felix because you signed him for 6 months and spent 15 million pounds or whatever it is. That was funny. I'm just saying, if you got two people that was established, and then anchored it with loads of young players, it would have made sense. But right now, if you're not in Europe, you've bought a lot of players. Hardly any of them are going to play, and I still can't see a strong first 11. And you're playing 5 at the back, which tells me you don't have confidence in your 11.
We're going to do a prediction, guys, just before we do end up kicking off here. Dan, can I start with you, mate? You got any prediction for this?
For the game, or overall finishes?
Prediction for the game.
Looking at the two teams, if you've watched Liverpool in pre-season, they've shipped a lot of goals, but they've also scored a lot of goals. But I think Chelsea will be quite tight today. I'm going to go 2-1 to Chelsea.
KG?
I'm going to go 3-1 Liverpool.
Oh, I'm going to go 3-1 Liverpool. That was also mine. Okay, 3-1 Liverpool.
I'm going to go 2-2.
I'm picking Chelsea 2-1 as well. I just think that it could easily be Liverpool could smash Chelsea because Chelsea haven't had a lot of time together, a brand new team. So if they're ever going to do it, it is probably today. But I'm looking at how open that midfield looks, and I'm like, it's just a bit too open for me to be confident in that. Like, it's just so gung ho, and that's what makes it a fucking great game. To be fair, like,
It's going to be wicked.
but yeah. Going into the transfers, we've got to cover this because Jesus Christ, Harry Kane has moved to Bayern Munich. Did anyone see this coming? I thought he was going to stay at Spurs, to be honest with you. What do you think this means for Harry Kane's career right
I
now?
was gutted.
Really?
I have to say this. I was gutted. When the plane, it sounded like he didn't have permission to go because I don't know what was going on.
Daniel Levy was like, just one more thing.
And I really hoped that he was going to stay at Spurs and then just a free agent. It was going to be free agency and everyone was going to be gunning for him. But what he does, maybe the courting from Bayern Munich had to be fantastic because he's upped his whole family and they've gone there. It was a disappointment that he didn't win a trophy yesterday. I kind of wanted it. You kind of wanted to. You can't.
Day one. Here's a
You
trophy.
kind of wanted to just win, like, so we can put to bed. Listen, he's a winner now. He's a great striker. He's a winner now. I'm happy for him because he's carried Spurs on his back for so long, and now it's his time to say, you know what, my moment to win trophy.
He's a legend.
Can we just be honest and be like, his career has been mismanaged by himself and by his brother? He's been completely mismanaged as like a player that good. Yeah, shouldn't have been signed the additional contract at Tottenham. And if for any reason you find yourself still there at 29, you should be going to the top players, teams in Europe.
He did.
I would say Bayern Munich in the league that they're in are a bit like PSG. They may have a free crack at the Champions League. They may have a chance of winning it, absolutely. But they're not the top teams. There are teams above them that would make way more sense for someone like Harry Kane. And the fact that he's not there is a mismanagement of his career. I feel like he's gone there to pasture. I'm so sorry. Winning the German league and a domestic cup is not the vibes that we are talking about. It was about Harry Kane. I personally hate him more because of how good he is and the fact that he's a product of Tottenham.
Isn't that
in
like
reality,
a Premier League arrogance, though? That
no,
feels
it's
kinda
not.
Premier League
No,
arrogance.
No.
It does.
The Premier
That's right.
the Premier League
Yes,
is the
Premier
top league. Is the best league, and him staying there and joining Man United, which I would have hated also, and joining Man City or even Chelsea would have been the A move. And then also, if you're going to go abroad, there's no way you can tell me that Real Madrid and Barcelona wouldn't have been a better move for him. But the fact that he cannot and isn't involved in any of those teams might be slightly economical, but also the fact that he has been mismanaged his career means that he's now playing.
Why
at Bayern Munich.
Is there any blame?
Huge club.
Is there
guys.
any? Yeah. Is there any blame to go on Daniel Levy for this? Because I feel like Daniel Levy held him for so long to a point where there was only one club who were willing to go, and it's like.
I think Kane wants this move. Like, he's all summer, the German press have been all over it, been really confident, even at a point where, again, the Premier League arrogance a little bit, like the English press arrogance of thinking, he won't go there, he won't go there. But they've gone all out for Harry Kane and been really confident of getting him. I think it's quite an exciting move. I know, like, the Bundesliga is a good league. It's a strong league, and Bayern years ago were going for Champions Leagues, and they've not really done that in the last few seasons. So I think he goes there thinking, I can propel these to be in Champions League.
Why do we think that's a good
Even
league,
if you
though?
think about it, though, let's re-look at this. Dortmund, it went down to the last day of the season. You're talking.
And then what happened?
This is the
And then what
Farmers.
happened?
Bro, this is the Farmers League. If you want
What?
to talk about a Farmers League, the Premier League, people watched City on Friday and said, "Yo, I don't know what we're gonna do. Let's just start thinking about
Literally,
second."
2-0 and it was game over.
This is the Farmers League,
That's
and
not
then
the Farmers
it
League.
is. It
How?
is.
If you go to the
this
European,
is a Man City
the
league,
teams that
bro.
are in the last four of all the major European trophies, I think half of them were British. This is not the Farmers League. The levels are much higher
it's
in
a money
Britain.
thing now.
No, but now it's about the money thing. What I'm saying to you is that I'm not saying Bayern Munich are a small team by any stretch of the imagination. They're
Bigger
a
than
great
Arsenal.
team, absolutely bigger than Arsenal, great team. But I'm saying for Harry Kane, and if we wrote the destiny of Harry Kane, none of us would have wrote that he would have been at Bayern Munich as the highlight of his career. He could have and should have been at either Real Madrid, Barcelona, or one of the top 3-4 teams in England, and we would have had way more respect for that move for him, and then going on and winning things. I'm saying it's a shock to us all, but I think he could have done better.
Is there any chance? Like, obviously, I think we know where Marvin's position is. Is there anyone who thinks Harry Kane regrets at the end of this that he moved to Bayern Munich and he didn't stay in the Premier League?
It's a
He
new
didn't stay
experience.
and do the goal record. He didn't run his contract down and do the Man United move or wherever.
He'll be back. He'll be back at Spurs at the end of that 4-year contract. Harry Kane.
How
will
old?
Back
He'd be
back at
34
Spurs.
years old though. Then
I think Harry Kane can go till 38, 39 because I think he's never been a player that's relied on explosive pace or anything like that. Teddy Sheringham, as for example, he went away from Spurs, went to Manchester United, then went back to Spurs. I would envisage that's what Kane will do, and I think that's why he has.
Do you think that you'll still break the record?
I would say
48 goals at 34
He
years
doesn't
old.
want you
I
to
reckon,
say
yeah,
he
I
doesn't
do.
want you to say
I
it,
do.
mate.
I do. I
He's
think
begging
Kane-
you
So
not
one
to.
saving grace about all this for me. I've been sitting there going, aye, that's the record
I think
intact.
you'll
Thank
do
you
it.
very
Yeah,
much.
it's-
Enjoy yourself, Harry.
In 5 years' time, you personally won't even care about the record because Newcastle will have won something.
That's-
It won't
I hope that's
that
right.
record won't bother you one bit. But Kane, he didn't want to go to another English club because of his loyalty and love for Tottenham. When you've been somewhere that long,
Do you think?
Nah, that's not the. I don't believe that's
I
true.
can't
I don't think he was courted well. Like he knew that.
But he knows in
Levy-
12 months he can go anywhere, and he still chose
Yeah,
to do
but
it.
I think that the charm offensive from Bayern was brilliant. As you said, it was in the papers. They really wanted it. And they showed it.
Well, they broke their record, for the Bundesliga, yeah.
Unbelievable signing for Bayern.
I think the record before this was like 30 million less, so they really went above and beyond.
On that question that you asked on Levy, though, I think we have to, even if Spurs fans won't like this, bro, he got 100 million for a guy in the final year of his contract. That's what you need.
29.
That's ridiculous. What he was able to do in terms of, that's brilliant. Like now, if he is how he reinvests the money, will let us know if he's done well.
Do you not think that's the final card Levy could play though? Like I feel like Levy has held on to Harry Kane and built a team around him, and I use that term loosely because he hasn't, but he's used him as here's why you should come to Spurs, and he's held on and held on and held on. We're underway, by the way, and finally he's had to relinquish him, and now I'm like, all right, Daniel,
There we go, straight attack.
Now it's on you to actually build this side without Harry Kane hitting 30 goals in a season and see what you can do as a football chairman. Because to me, when you look at Spurs' defence last season, it was in the bottom 5. And they finished 8th. And let's be real, 95% of the reason they did was because of Harry Kane and those goals. So the question is what happens to Spurs now?
They tank.
I mean, they finished 8th last season with Harry Kane. I imagine they'll finish somewhere similar
I
again.
mean, let's say they replace him with a striker. How many goals are we
That's
saying?
the key.
How many goals?
The key is, who do they replace him with? And if they go get someone where we all sit around the table and feel like, I can see this, I 100% believe that they will maintain a top 6 stance. But to be completely honest, there aren't any strikers available. And besides, all the top 4 teams are just hoovering up talent.
Do you know
Have
the
they
one
been
player
linked to
they should
Lukaku?
get?
Have they linked to
If
Lukaku?
you said to me,
That
who
would be
should they get?
interesting.
Callum
Lukaku.
Wilson. I know this might sound mad.
Would you?
No, I'm not saying we should sell him.
You wouldn't sell him,
But
sure.
Callum Wilson is a guaranteed goal scorer and isn't starting for Newcastle. Like, obviously, we wouldn't want to let him go, and we probably wouldn't let him go. But it's an example of someone who there are some goal scorers out there that they just need. They don't need they don't want to do the Chelsea approach. They need goals right now. Otherwise, if you were to look at the end of last season and the way Spurs were playing on form, and you look, and that's with Harry Kane doing it all on his own. They look like a relegation battling side.
Yeah.
Richarlison is going to be the striker this.
Well, I mean, good luck.
Bad though. He's
Good
not-
luck.
he's- I know people.
He starts for Brazil.
I know people laugh at Richarlison. Yeah, he's not the worst.
I think
player
he'll
in the world.
suit the
No,
way
he's not. He's
Postecoglou
not.
plays. I think that's the key thing with Richarlison. If you were asking me to name a name, though, of a striker, and I thought this yesterday, I think I tweeted it actually, if they wanted a short-term, medium-term and long-term replacement Tottenham, they'd have to deal with Brighton, which no one wants to do.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you,
Ferguson.
Evan Ferguson is an absolute player.
I think he's too good for Tottenham, to be fair.
Is he not too expensive? Bearing in mind, they've already spent 180 million roughly. But obviously, there's the sale of Kane. And look, if they brought in Ferguson and then you're thinking, well, Son and Maddison feeding Ferguson, okay, I could see how that, yeah.
They won't get him. He's like Rooney regen. He's not. There's no way he's going to Tottenham on earth. He'll go to one of the top 3-4 teams in the league. Hopefully, Arsenal wake up and have a word with him.
I could think.
I love Evan Ferguson. I think he's amazing. But it's really Tony who's obviously not available
That's
for
the
4
player
months.
that everyone's going to be getting.
That's a great signing, and there just isn't many other options here domestically. So unless they find someone and pluck them from obscurity,
Don't
in
you
Europe,
think you guys will end up getting him for a player like Tony? I can see him.
Nah.
You don't think?
Just on the Kane thing though, how do we think this plays out? What, in the 4 or 5 years time, what are we looking back at Kane? Are we just saying 4 or 5 Bundesligas, or do we think the European Cup?
You'd think maybe a chance of one within 4 years.
Yep.
You'd think at least one.
They're defensively though. We need to see if Kim Min Jae's on point. We need to see because even that game
McConnell.
yesterday
They need a keeper.
wasn't good.
They got hammered.
Definitely
They're-
not.
They're not, and even the time that they played against City, that was a hammering.
I think the goal for class is different, yeah. And look, Bayern Munich's team is actually sick. If you start laying out their pieces like Sane and they've got some incredible Gnabry, they've got some incredible players. My worry is that it's still a gulf behind what Manchester City are doing, and even what Arsenal look like they're about to be doing. So I feel that I don't think they'll get a Champions League, but they'll dominate Bundesliga more, and he'll get an absurd amount of goals, and I think he'll have a much better time than he did at Tottenham. But I don't think he's at the top table right now with Bayern Munich.
I wonder if the bonus for being in the Bundesliga, though, is a little bit like you're not running your guts out every week the way Premier League teams are. So you can kind of focus on that. I know it doesn't always work out that way, and PSG are living proof of that, but maybe he can be there.
Liverpool are in right here. Horrid pass.
Maybe he can be there like the new Lewandowski, I guess.
Well, look how many Lewandowski scored. And when they had Lewandowski, they were challenging towards the top end of the Champions League at the latter stages. They were always there. And Kane and Lewandowski are two of the best goal scorers, aren't they?
Yeah, facts. And
The main thing here is that I feel like the English teams have gone to another level, and I feel like they're more competitive, which makes it harder, even with a Kane, for them to make it to that particular space. Also, we know about the paths and the routes, because obviously Inter and AC made it to the semi-finals last year, so there is a chance. But I just think they just fall short of people like Man City and even Barcelona and Real Madrid's.
Fantastic.
Where do we
Really good football from this Liverpool side.
Liverpool are playing great, to be fair. After what we said earlier, we were worried about them. But to be fair, Chelsea weathered it. Where do we think Spurs will finish without Harry Kane? Without knowing if there's a direct replacement, we don't know that when we're saying this, but where do we think?
7th.
8th.
I think 8th as well. There are 7 better teams.
I think they might finish in the bottom half.
Wow. No.
Really?
Yeah, they were absolute shit last season.
No, because Postecoglou doesn't have the same level of pressure, which is good for him. It's almost not saying he's got a free hit, but with Kane, there's real fan expectation. Now, there's no fans. They're almost like kind of like different to what Arsenal. But Arsenal last season were not thinking about challenging for the title. They just wanted to enjoy and watch good football. Now, I think Spurs fans, they know they're in a rebuild. So any Spurs fan expecting top 4 football should really look at themselves and what the hell am I thinking? You know, now the pressure's not there. It's a new start. It's a new season. So for a guy like that, he's kind of got a free hit, and when you're in the free hit zone, surprising things happen.
Yeah,
so
I think the Tottenham manager. I've watched a couple. I watched the game when they played against Barcelona. It was very, very good football. So I think his ideas around football are good. My worry is that he's not a great communicator, and he says things that are questionable. So it makes me worry about his man management. Well, we've all seen the interview of him when he was Australia team manager, and he went off on an absolute rant and sounded off the charts. Also, when he handed the captaincy to Son, the ramble that he gave was also pretty terrible. And so I worry about his man management and communication style more than anything else. But I'm optimistic for him. And I feel like sometimes when you just have a fixed 11 and it's tighter and you don't have Kane to build everything around, it just becomes clearer and easier. It's more consistent. So he could sneak a really good result. But
they've got a good result today. They've drawn at Brentford days after Kane's gone. Brentford's a tough place to go to.
No, it is. Result. But you know, a good result would have been nicking a 1-0, showing your resilience, a new form of football. And that would have been like, oh, actually, there's something here. Drawing 2-2 with Brentford, I feel like shows that that's where they're going to get stuck. They're going to draw too many games.
They look better, I'd say, though, from what the bits I saw. I thought they looked a lot better, Tottenham. I think now they've got a plan, haven't they, under Postecoglou? I think the Spurs fans like that there's a reset.
The plan was very much pumped it to Kane for a while.
They've tried to go for big managers, haven't they, and it hasn't worked. Now they've gone back to when they hired Poch and gone back for someone building from the ground up. But I think long term they'll be okay.
It's such a risk, though, isn't it?
Be a difficult season.
There's not a single person out there who could say with confidence that Postecoglou was ready for this. Like you're just hoping on you. It's like the Eddie Howe thing at Newcastle. Well, actually, no. Eddie Howe was proven in the Premier League, but it's a classic young manager appointment where you're hoping, and if it goes well, great. But if Spurs have a really bad run, where's the incentive for the fans to get behind the manager with no proven track record at this level at all? It's a lot easier to turn on a guy and he's not up to this, when in reality he could be suffering from the lack of 30 Premier League goals a season in your team. So I do worry about him.
The worry for him,
especially with Levy,
it's Son. Son had a bad season last season, but him and Kane, the way they dovetailed was so effective. That's gone now. But even watching Son today, there's something off with him. He's not
30 as well, isn't he? Is he 30?
Well, he relied on pace a lot, so that is going to be a part of it.
He done well though every time Kane was out the team though. So
yeah, he was the main man at that point. Remember that time when Spurs fans were talking about how they play better without Kane?
Yeah.
That was a real narrative
on the break.
Yeah, I remember
in the Champions League run, wasn't it? They got to the final without Kane.
Yeah, literally.
In the end,
What's your lot's thoughts on Sterling though? Because he's left Man City, and it's like, what's really kind of happened? You know, he's supposed to be a central piece.
Bro,
Like, he's
have you seen how
supposed
much
to be-
money he's getting paid? How much
This is it.
325.
There you go.
Wow.
And what are you lot
He
thinking
doesn't
about
play.
Liverpool?
Bear in mind, Kevin De Bruyne's on 400. He does not play 75 grand away in that percentage range from his level.
He's our highest earner.
He was in a mess though last season, wasn't he? I don't think anyone played well for Chelsea
He had a
last
lot
year.
of injuries. But I think I said this last season about Sterling, is that it's a sad, misfortunate series of events. I think I'm a fan of his. I think he's brilliant as a person, as a football player. But some players need coaching. They need the right environment to perform at the highest level. And this transitional environment for Chelsea could see him decline very, very quickly and actually not be in a top team in 2 seasons' time, and could find himself abroad in the Saudi league easily in the 12 months' time.
I think he's
Just
already
by
unfortunate
the
timing.
end of the summer, he could be in the Saudi
Yeah.
League. He's got to step up now in the next couple of games. He's got to step up and really show himself to be a key member of the Chelsea squad. Because if he doesn't, we've got players that are younger and hungrier that are going to come in and just replace him.
Yeah, he's got people breathing down his neck for a spot, which is healthy for him at his age. Personally, I've always thought he was overrated. I've thought that he highly benefited from the insane level of chance creation he had at Man City as he plays the ball through. Oh, that would be good.
But even then, he slowed the ball down. Basically, what a lot of our attackers do is they move the ball very quickly and take on a man. And recently, at tail end of last season and in our pre-season games, whenever he picks up the ball, he slows the play down, and that's what I don't. They're in here.
Chance
They're
for
in here big
Liverpool.
time.
Oh, and it's terrible.
Nervous.
Still in.
it.
They're still in.
Off the bar from Mo Salah. It didn't look like it was going in until it got closer.
This is end-to-end stuff.
It's chaos.
It's
It's
It's a much
game.
tighter game than I envisioned. I thought Liverpool were moving away, but I've seen a couple of breaks from Chelsea. It looks like they do have a plan. It's just like there's too open, and I feel like that's what's going to do the damage for Chelsea in the end, because Liverpool have a much better attack.
You were saying he was declining. Where do you think Sterling ends up then? Say next summer, this time next summer.
Honestly, Saudi League will put a lot of money on the table and they will take him, and he will go because for him it'll be a 4 or 5 year contract and he'll earn a lot of money and he won't be able to go anywhere else unless he's willing to go to a Tottenham. I don't see where he will go, and I feel like if I was Tottenham, I would 100% bid for him, by the way, because I feel like I can get something out of him. But for me, he has no other big club in the UK to go to, and I don't see him at Real Madrid or Barcelona or even a Bayern, or Juve. So I feel like it's just going to be his decline of a career, and it's really sad.
I think calling him overrated is a bit of a stretch, considering that him at Liverpool was special than what he's achieved at Man City. Even though he was a big part.
Do you know what it is? It's because he started at 17. If you think about the length of career, he's been playing already 10 years at the top. And I feel like now we're getting to a point where when you play for that long, you start to see a decline and you start to see a breakdown of the body. We saw it with Walcott. There was one year when Walcott was brilliant. He was just he was banging in goals. He got in double figures in both sides. He's like, wow, this guy's actually really good. Then he got injured one more time and he never actually ever recovered.
Let me say why I think he's overrated then, because the reason I think he's overrated is in that Chelsea side, the chance creation was insane, and the level of goals he would score, people would say, "Oh well, he's of this level." And my point is his numbers are inflated by the players around him because they are world class, and he is Premier League class. He's very good. He's a very good player, but the amount of mistakes I see him make in front of goal, it's a lot like the Harry Maguire situation where when you, I mean, it's a bit worse with Maguire, don't get me wrong, Jesus Christ. But Chelsea in the box, no. The point is I think he was made to look a lot better by the players around him, and to prove that, if you look at the goals that he was scoring in his prime for City, 18 goals a season, 17, 20. These are Premier League goals.
Yeah.
And we're talking like 20 and 33. That's insanely good. But when I was watching him, I was like, yeah, but he's missing fucking 4 out of 5. So what would happen if you had a player who was lethal in front of goal? We found out. Erling Haaland. That's what happened. So 10 goals, 13 goals. Then he goes to Chelsea. 6 goals in 28 games.
Why
That is
though?
shit.
Remember-
for a player on 325 grand
Yeah.
a week, that is terrible returns.
Brian, he was our top goal scorer. So just remember, like, we made everyone look rubbish.
Here's the thing. This narrative is what I'm going to try and take apart a little bit here. Is for everyone to go, well, everyone at Chelsea was crap. He is being paid to not be crap. Like if you've got your highest paid player at the club, who does everyone look to when a team is down? You look to your biggest, your talisman. He is the talisman, and you know what happened to him? He went missing. So that's why I think he's overrated. Because to me, if he was the player people said he was, he would have showed up last season.
Well, Kane was very good for Tottenham when they were terrible.
He was that guy.
It's a different level of player, but I never thought he was that player anyway. And I think him going around believing he's never going to be someone that's going to drag everyone by their bootstraps, get 20 goals in the season and be like, come on, everybody. He's always going to be someone that is accomplice to somebody else. He needs to be surrounded by good. Like when that team with Sturridge and Suarez, I think it was, hit them three, that was an absolute madness.
He's not world class. He's Premier League class, helped by world class players around him. And at Chelsea, when that wasn't there, we see in his real level 6 goals in 28 games.
Yeah.
That was the truth.
Also had a terrible manager for half a year. So, well, actually the whole season. So that I do feel like those.
Oh, good save by
And that's a big
Alisson.
part of that as well.
Very good
Imagine, we're talking about Sterling. He's kind of...
He heard us.
He's
Yeah.
involved in this
So
one.
Sterling
Yeah.
put the cross in. Was that Jackson?
No, it's the play, the pass before the pass.
Yeah, it was. Jackson had the shot, the final.
Yeah, so Jackson takes the touch and then the keeper manages to parry it out. Chelsea are looking good here, in my opinion. They're starting to get a hold in the midfield now.
The thing that I'm feeling uncomfortable about Chelsea at the moment, yeah, is that they're playing with the back three.
Sterling was terrible.
But the back three are so wide apart that it makes me feel nervous because they don't have the two pivots to sit there and block it. So when Arsenal do this, and obviously watching them again live, it's much more narrow, their back three, than what we're seeing currently from Chelsea. It worries me.
Gallagher in the pivot makes sense from sort of like an engine perspective.
No one else.
But it doesn't make sense from sort of like a playing the ball out of the back perspective.
Yeah.
And just generally like sort of like Kovacic was that player that you gave him the ball, you could ping it at him and it would be absolutely fine. Whereas Gallagher, he's not that guy. He can't bring
Tell you
the
what,
ball under control.
Liverpool are lucky they've got a keeper that good because I think they rely so heavily on him coming out and being that force and collecting. Like, so they concede a fair amount.
They're in here. They're in here. Oh, wow.
They might have had a Spurs season without Alisson last season. They might have been down there.
He is mega for them.
He's by far the best goalkeeper. Actually, I would say in the world. I'll put him above Courtois as well. I love
He's
Alisson.
class.
He's absolutely sturdy.
And in the finals, and he's really turned up for them to keep them, in those key moments.
Yeah. Also, he was relatively unknown before. Like I know but he was relatively unknown, and I think to nab him, even at the price they paid, like a keeper that you can rely on for 7-8 years is worth everything.
Can we talk about the Mbappe deal situation, lads? Obviously, on the one hand, we've been talking about Harry Kane and how he sort of, I think, stayed loyal and tried to do the right thing by Spurs. And but maybe too loyal. And then on the other hand, you've got Mbappe here, who is really mugging PSG off. And
What
a ball!
I took him out of my team. He's out of my fantasy league, but it's fine.
Luis Diaz scores for Liverpool.
I told you, man.
This has been end-to-end stuff.
It's been a good game.
Guys,
It's been a good game.
I told you, look, when we was talking about this team, it's still D's, man.
Yeah.
And this is it. Like, I know everyone was talking, saying, the midfield and this, that, and the other. You have to understand, Klopp, look how he designs these guys. Look at this ball in the center.
They've got a 4 at the front here. They've got 2 in the middle.
Alisson receiving
plays
the
that
ball.
pass?
Alisson receiving the ball and actually doing something good with it and getting it
Bro,
to
Mo
a
Salah's
player.
pass.
Mo Salah.
What a ball.
Ridiculous. How dare you?
Mate, that is Lionel Messi level of passing.
How dare you?
I was actually cheekily going to ask, do we think that Salah's still got it for another season? I know he did very well last year.
Let's edit that.
Yeah. Let's edit that bit out. But I know he did very well last season, but just age. But he's clearly still in the room.
Bro, this guy,
You can tell that Liverpool are up for this game. Like all of the stuff that's gone on behind the scenes in the last week or so, it's rolled the players up, and they.
Do you not think it's been really even though? Like it's been end to end, and this is the thing we said. If it's a more of a controlled game, Chelsea advantage because they filled the midfield.
Yeah.
But Liverpool have literally wanted it to be
it's
like
just starting, guys.
But I have to
telling
say,
you, there's going to be more.
We haven't filled the midfield though. Like if you look at where Gallagher is, we were just talking about that. Like he looks like he's completely alone. Like the midfield here, we've lost the midfield battle.
haven't got midfield.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good.
Yeah, and also it's really harsh there. But Disasi, debut guy on right centre back there, he's just fallen asleep there.
What happened to Badia? Was it Badia Shield?
Badia Shield's injured. He's back in about 3 weeks, 4 weeks time. He's also a left-sided centre back, so he wouldn't have even necessarily.
I've never struggled to keep up with the team's players as much as
I
Chelsea.
don't know anyone.
I'm just throwing names out.
Yeah.
What about
So-
Johnson?
so-
Is Johnson playing?
So I go to Chelsea with my old man, and this is the first season that he's sort of just gone like, I have no idea who's playing because he doesn't keep up with the transfer window. So he's literally just gone, I don't even know who's
The team in
starting
blue.
for Chelsea.
We'll
Yeah,
chat-
yeah,
we'll
just
cheer
Charles.
I feel like Fabrizio just keeps saying, "Here we go" for random stuff. And I look at it and I feel like I've seen him already. No, I'm starting to turn into one of those people.
There are some people saying that Fabrizio is biased towards Chelsea, which is
Well,
quite
they're
funny.
keeping
I enjoyed
they're
that.
keeping his tweets up. You know what I mean? Like that.
And when you sign 100 players every window, you're going to have to talk about
Yeah,
it, aren't you?
exactly.
So yeah, I was going to bring us on to Mbappe before because it seems like there's been a change of direction that he might give them another year of a contract. He might give them another year. You know, he's in control essentially here because he wants to go to Real Madrid, but they were basically going to say, you're going to sit there and do nothing if you don't sign another deal because we cannot afford to let you go for free. And he seemed dead intent to walk out for nothing. Do we think the way Mbappe is conducted... Oh,
Penalty.
Head, he's pushed him. He's pushed him in the
You're a
back.
national
No,
disgrace.
not
they're gonna do a replay.
They're gonna look at this.
No way.
Oh, it's Atkinson.
Referee.
It's
Never
Atkinson. I forgot about that.
It's never a pen. No.
Nah, but also you did put your
Hands on him. This is going to
No,
be
but
VAR.
What are you
that could
thinking?
be a penalty.
This will be VAR.
That won't.
100%.
It has to be.
That won't
Look,
be
it's-
given. There's no.
Oh, no.
No, you're not having it?
No,
That's a
chance.
friendship.
No, they got
That's
a
a friendship.
shoulder to shoulder is
friendship
approved.
Oh, God.
We've just given up on Mbappe now because this game is 2-end. Sorry, Mbappe.
No, but just on Mbappe, yeah, the fact that he's gone back in the changing room yesterday and they seem to have found a position because he's in the squad. Like I feel like there'll be a healing of it, but the main stickler of it is that he has agreed a deal with Real Madrid and he has a plan for his next year, and no one's going to buy him for 12 months. He doesn't want to go to Saudi, so it leaves not very many options. But I feel like an English team should have definitely put a cheeky bid in just to see.
He wouldn't go there.
No, but I feel like you just got to do it. It's a bit like with Harry Kane, and I feel like with Man United, you just got to be in the hat. And if I was Man United or Chelsea, I would have just bid anyway, just to say and create the option. Because we've seen with Caicedo that once you do that, you set a standard, and now it's like up to the player. And I just feel that no one calling their hand is a bit, timid from English teams.
PSG made me laugh though, saying to you before we came on that you've given him a contract, you've given him all these bonuses, it was a short contract as well that they gave him to stop him going to Real Madrid. What was it, a year ago? That was only a year ago. So you've given him that deal, he signed it, and then you're moaning when he sees that contract out. Like he's well within his rights to see that contract out, and they owe him that money because they agreed to it. It makes me laugh that they were saying they weren't going to play him.
Yeah, I was kind of just wondering if you guys felt like there was a double standard there between, like we see how Daniel Levy treated Harry Kane, and when the chairman has all the power, people, I guess, I don't know, maybe feel sorry for Harry Kane, but when the tables are turned and the player has the power, people think he's an arsehole for exercising his rights. And I just wondered where you guys sat on this because, he is one of the best, if not the best player in the world. And seeing him at Real Madrid, that will be special.
Can't wait.
And I kind of respect them for turning down the Saudi money because let's
I
be
thought it was
honest,
brilliant.
nobody
That was
else
brilliant.
is going to offer him that level of money. Like nowhere close.
We're all going to Saudi if we go for that. We're all going immediately. Yeah, and the funny thing with Mbappe is, you know what? I think they just know that Real Madrid have done them over. There's been conversations.
That's why they're angry, right?
And they're just upset about it. That's what it comes down to. And because he didn't think they'll be that serious and potentially not want to play him. But Enrique, he doesn't give a damn. He wants to start. He wants to rebuild. And now this is him just trying to get back in because he in his head he thought, whatever way they're still going to play me. I'm Mbappe. And now you're seeing Enrique saying, nah, I'm going to rebuild for future without you. So now he has to beg. And he's going to get, because all these players want to play football. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, but I feel
You're not
like he's
gonna want
lost
to
the
miss.
dressing room, and I feel like even if they accept his apology in the short term, the reality is there. He's spoken out in the public about about the rest of his teammates, and it just doesn't sound good. For me, I can't see how he reintegrates in a powerful way, and I think he will hamper their progression as a team. Because
when
I
you
think,
start losing.
Yeah,
do
well, it's like
do we
they
think he's a
bought Ramos, I
toxic
think, from-
person just as a teammate generally? Because there was rumblings of the way he would treat Messi and Neymar when he got all that power, when he became basically the football director or whatever it was. He basically was rumours of, he said Messi out, Neymar out, and that did happen pretty quickly.
He's made demands for France as well, hasn't he? That I want to play on the left. Giroud's up front. He's got that in his locker, hasn't he? But he is a sensational footballer. He's probably the most exciting footballer to watch.
But I don't remember
on the
this ever
planet.
being to this level of power.
But
PSG.
I think if you pay someone that much, it naturally becomes a thing where the conditions that you set will be favourable to yourself. And I think that's the problem, is that the club aren't running things. The manager isn't running things. He is. If he's more powerful than a manager, because his contract has such value, that any manager that comes in can't really manage it.
Yeah, if a manager's trying to give him orders and he's like, how much are you worth?
Yeah.
How much are you getting paid?
Also, if you're going
It's
to build
hard.
a club, you can't build a club around Neymar and Messi, regardless of how good they are historically. So it will always be about Mbappe. So I felt like that whole thing of signing him was a terrible idea. And I think someone like Ramos now, who they've signed, is a brilliant signing. And we should see a PSG that are a bit more balanced and a bit more hardworking.
100%. And
Neymar's going back
supposed
to Barcelona, right?
potentially name or wait, no, he's going to. I heard he's
Nah.
going to the Saudi league.
He's agreed terms with Barcelona if they can raise the funds, which is
Which
the
they
biggest fraud
They
in
won't.
the history of football. The fact that they're even allowed to
There we
negotiate
go.
terms. is
Liverpool in
bizarre.
the
They're
attack.
4-2 here.
Liverpool.
Oh, this is
This
bad.
is it, this is the goal.
Chelsea are in
It's the
for a
goal.
humiliation.
He should have scored that.
block.
He took
Good
too
block.
long.
Should have scored that. Considering we've got 5 at the back, we are so open in those areas in the
It's-
transition.
It's because the back three isn't working. It's too wide, and this is a tactical thing.
And
You know
McAllister's
it is.
running
It's so funny that Arteta is giving me a whole new vision of what football should look like, and I can just tell by shapes when I look at how the back threes, the ball's being played at from the back. If the back three are too wide, it leaves massive holes, and the midfield is absolutely.
Well, look at this,
gaping.
man. It's 2 at the
Look.
back, yeah. 2-1-3.
You've got 5 people on one side of the pitch. It's just not.
I actually think the problem here is the DM problem, and I'm so
Yeah.
glad that we're
Yeah.
getting Caicedo and Lavia in if it is both of them, because both of them will play and they'll get in the team over the midfielders that we have.
I can't wait until it's 5-0 to Liverpool and Josh says,
I
can't wait.
Caicedo!
You know, I love the fact that because Josh is a lovely guy,
Yeah.
but you do want his team to lose, innit?
Why?
Is
there
It's
a- like
Liverpool,
chaos?
mate.
Me,
It's
me,
Liverpool.
me and Marvin are sat here going, football's just different for us, right?
Yeah. It's
love
like,
chaos.
see you at the top, Brian.
Oh, it's just a good time at the minute. All right, well, we'll talk about Newcastle in that case because I don't know if I'm getting carried away. Yeah.
Oh, God.
You should get
It's 5-1 yesterday. We beat Dan's team quite comfortably, right? And no, but the thing is, there was a period in the middle of the game which I think Villa fans deserve like acknowledgement for, because Villa actually were really good to start the game and it was end-to-end competitive. And when Newcastle went 2-1 up, I think Villa basically had the rest of that first half and looked really good. But in that second half, we just washed them. And we are going to do that a lot this season. Like, it is going to... We happened to do that at Spurs 6-1. At St. James's, we're going to wash teams. It's just whether or not we can compete on all fronts. But watching the game, watching my guy Isak, I like him. I like
my
him.
team.
Mate, Thierry Henry, watch out.
There we go.
Yeah. No, but I said last season, look, the Henry thing was a bit tongue-in-cheek, but I did say last season, Erling Haaland, Harry Kane,
Isak.
then Isak. And now Harry Kane, we don't have to worry about him. So I think Isak could be the guy to lead Newcastle as a striker. The way he caressed that ball into the back of the net at one point under all sorts of pressure, he just caressed it. And then Tonali, our new Italian stallion, to coming in and having so much involvement in 4 of the 5 goals. Then Bonds as well, and Gordon having a razor-sharp game, looking like the player we thought we were buying. I'm just feeling like, you know, I look at the defence. We had the equal best defence in the league last season to Man City. The midfield now, we've dropped Tonali in with Joe Linton and Bruno. And you could look at the strikers we've got in Wilson and Isak in terms of combined goals. We might, you know, outside of Haaland, get, you know, one of the best returns on our strike forces. We've got a really complete team. But can we?
Do what? What's
Can
that
we
sentence?
challenge for the
what?
Premier League
For what?
title?
Huh?
Oh, wow.
Can we challenge?
I thought you was
no.
going to say top 4.
No, I was going to say FA Cup. No, look, Brian,
Can we
yeah,
challenge?
I'm going to be honest here, because I feel like I have to have a...
Pause. Mo Salah's in. And it's
Wow, Stino.
offside. Offside.
Offside.
Is it? No.
No, it's not. It's two.
No.
It's a goal.
He looked along the line as if it was offside.
Yeah.
He looks nervous.
Are we going to go to VAR?
Took him out.
No, it's going to be 6-0. I'm going to be
I
honest.
took him out of my fantasy league.
Josh, quick reaction.
Josh,
Sorry.
is it going to be 6-0?
I'm just praying for VAR, to be honest with you.
I took him out of my fantasy league.
We thought that I thought that Chelsea
Not
would
me.
have a
They
good
are
hold in the
looking at-
midfield. There's been no midfield.
Oh, it's
They are.
offside.
He's offside, and they are looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
Haven't they
offside.
changed the offside rule though? That your whole body has to be offside.
No, they were debating it. I
Oh,
don't
it
think
didn't
they've
actually
actually
happen.
done that yet.
That's a good goal, though.
Can we talk about Chelsea having Brighton's third choice goalkeeper in goal?
That's weird, isn't it?
And that weird.
Do you know
dive
what?
he-
It is close though. Like
This
I mean,
is really close.
It's
in
offside.
terms of his trailing foot,
It's offside.
it might be on if that's what we're going.
It
off.
looks more like a goal than not.
Where's that new line? Don't
More
you
like
put
a
that in
goal.
anymore?
They don't
More like
show
a
you on
goal.
the
It
TV
looks more
anymore.
like a goal because if his hind leg is probably slightly behind the defender's leg.
Offside.
He's
there.
out, he
No,
looks
this is offside.
He looks offside.
Come on. Because what's the
Brilliant.
rules then?
I told you the rules are.
Ain't they giving us that cool line anymore? Is it gone?
Where's his
Well,
shirt?
I think
No, they've got to do it now. They're going to draw it on.
The reality is that they messed up VAR in such a way that we don't even believe.
They didn't, show,
we're
they didn't,
seeing
they didn't
anymore.
show any lines yesterday in the Newcastle.
Did they not?
game, 'cause Newcastle
I
scored a
really
couple
have.
of
I'm
goals.
wouldn't be
50-50 on this here.
I
Like
think-
I wouldn't be
I
surprised
have
if
got
they
no idea what
Goal
they're going to say.
checking.
Yeah.
It's offside.
offside. That is, I reckon.
Come on, guys.
You think so?
This is
Yeah.
going on for a long time as well.
I bet you Josh's heart's beating.
Offside.
Offside.
Get the heart monitors out. You need to bring
then
them
you-
back to the
They're
kick
using the
off.
line of the front of his body, which is
Okay.
obvious.
Okay. So,
Shame.
as I was saying, you know, with Eddie, I'll just recap one little thing. Eddie Howe, since coming to Newcastle, got us from relegation to 11th within a few months. From 11th
Yeah.
to 4th.
Yeah.
What he's brought in a load of players. These young lads are getting better.
Yeah.
Can he take us?
Thatch.
And by challenging, I don't mean winning. I mean, can he get us in the conversation
Okay.
for the title?
No.
By the, I mean, do what like an Arsenal did last season.
No.
Can that happen?
Why
Just
not?
just to be clear, no.
Why
Tell
not?
me why.
So I like to contextualize because Newcastle fans have definitely let me know their feelings, and
I'm sorry.
they do communicate in their
sorry.
droves.
I didn't
they're
send
not,
them.
they're not a passive fan base, so
we're on Twitter. We're definitely on.
they're definitely on. But like I like Newcastle. I've liked them the whole season, and I feel like they're hard-working, hard to beat. The only thing I think is that you need a few more players to compete on all fronts. What I think will happen is you'll have a really strong start, and when the games pile up, there'll be a big drop-off because it's just really, really difficult to be on all fronts and maintain the quality throughout the whole season. But you have amazing pieces to start with. I think Tonali, if he is as good as we saw today, is an incredible piece of business alongside Guimaraes. You're looking like you have a striker.
Oh, is
He's
that
headbutted. That's a red
Headbutt.
card.
Red
It's
card.
a red card.
See you later, Enzo.
Yeah.
You're going.
He's still
Atkinson as
going.
well.
Atkinson, you saw it.
Yeah.
Head forward.
Enzo's a nutcase,
Yeah,
isn't it?
Don't boil it. Don't boil it. Red.
Nah.
Big.
Enzo's Martinez
Oh,
light,
2
isn't it?
yellows.
I tell you what, Chelsea are treading thin ice here. Like.
And Enzo needs to start showing us that he's a quality player because
I haven't seen it, but I'm sure Josh will tell us.
look at this. They got to look back at it because he goes in with a head.
Nah.
Yeah.
All right, that wasn't a headbutt. Yeah,
He tried though.
yeah.
But yeah, I feel like they won't have a deep enough squad, and I said this at the beginning, and then people were still upset. It just takes more than what we as fans think to build that extra piece
Okay.
to get to that
Let me-
level.
let me ask you
and I just need a
questions.
couple more players to get there.
Because we've signed roughly the same amount of players as you have. I think, how many did you get? 3?
4.
Okay, we've got 3, kind
Right,
of going to get another one. Do you think Arsenal have got enough players then?
Well, yeah, because we just looked at their team, and not only do they have an actual squad of 18, 19, we had Tierney and someone else on the who weren't even in the squad, and they were quality players, plus a bunch of other players that are just hovering around that we could easily see integrated into the squad. So we have for the for Champions League or for the League Cup and FA Cup an extra 11 that we think could play and be competitive against smaller teams. Yeah, I feel so.
Yeah, Arsenal's depth is great.
Our weakest point is actually our strike force. And if Balogun was to stick around, I'll be more comfortable.
Okay.
But I feel like we
He's
need
not
strike.
going to, is he?
Going back to Newcastle, because I am praying obviously that we can win a trophy, which is my ultimate hope. But in terms of challenging or top 4, it seems like most people have said what Marvin said of we just don't have the squad depth. But in terms of top 4, then does everyone think we don't get top 4 or?
I think you can challenge for that. I think you can be right up there. I'm not saying you're going to win the league. I genuinely think you can be right up there because look at the progress in the first 2 seasons. So naturally, I think there'll be progress again. I think the Champions League, if Newcastle go deep, might become a hindrance.
That could be tricky.
I do think Newcastle at St James's Park not any team in the world would really want to go there. I'm not just saying that because my team's been pumped yesterday, but I do think any team in Europe will not want to go to St James's Park. I think they're only squad depth-wise maybe one short. I think they've got a lot of multifunctional players. I think they'd never centre back.
I think the issue is when I look at the Arsenals and other teams that are up there with Man United, the world-class players they've got higher level players than what we have.
Yeah.
But
You've got the team.
But we've got a good team and an overall
Great
level, and we might surprise a few. In terms of as the opposition, what did you make? It's funny to ask you, but what were the standout performances from a Villa fan's point of view?
Yeah, no.
I just think you're a great team. You're defensively very astute, very, very solid. That midfield three, that's an unbelievable combination. Tonali, Guimaraes and Joe Linton. There's a bit of everything in that midfield. Gordon looks like he's going to be a different player this season. Isak, if he stays fit, is a 20-25 goal a season striker. I think Newcastle are very well set. Livramento's come in now as well, so I think some games you might see Trippier playing at left back, Livramento at right back, really bombing on down that side. I think Newcastle are in a really good position.
Midfield three is what's given us a bit of it's getting us a bit carried
That's
away.
a high level signing.
Did you sign a left back? You didn't, did you?
No.
That's another space that you definitely need
But
somebody.
what they're saying is Livramento will go on that right, and then Trippier will fill in
will play
like he did with England.
I hear you, but
You can't build too quickly as well. You can't just buy 7-8 players because then that takes away from what's made you good in the first place.
no, but then you want a really good youth system. You've got a couple of players.
They've got a couple coming through in Newcastle.
Who are these people?
So there's a guy
quality.
called Anderson,
He's brilliant.
who was very highly rated. He went on loan, and they were jokingly calling him like Geordie Maradona and stuff like that because he's got great feet. When I'm watching him in pre-season, you don't want to get carried away by pre-season, but he looks very technically gifted. But the player I'm most excited about in the youth system is this 6'3", 17-year-old who's got the face of a 12-year-old, but the body of a grown man. I've never seen a 17-year-old look so composed on the ball in the middle of the park, and it's kind of when you've got a gem and you're looking at him and you're like, when I'm watching him.
Sterling's in.
wow, that could have been an own goal.
Man, Trent.
Yeah.
Good defender for him for the first time.
Sterling, quick feet there. We were slagging him off, but he's doing well there.
Yeah, he did well.
Yeah, he did really
really
well
well.
to turn this in. And to be fair, he did everything he should have done.
Yeah, there was nothing else he could have done.
He's actually having a good game, Sterling.
Yeah, he's been a threat. The kid Miley, actually, we'll let this corner come in. Enzo with the corner.
Whips it in.
Nah,
It's easily cleared.
We are rubbish.
Back to Sterling.
We are so bad at corners.
Cross it in.
These are not compelling calls.
Really?
Yes! Debut, he slipped up. Get in!
Which one of your players is that?
Yeah, I don't even know who that is.
It's one my old man doesn't know. Yeah. Get in. Disassi.
Diaz.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
I'm
I didn't know who that was. I was just waiting for the name of the shirt. It's like,
Sorry, headphone
Genuinely.
users, but I'm so
You know what,
chuffed.
right? You know what you have to say is Liverpool went
gonna
to
win.
sleep on the second phase big time.
Yeah.
There, because they cleared that corner brilliantly, but when the ball came back in,
Yeah.
it was everyone was asleep.
we-
What is going on?
It was a bit slow coming out.
Enzo whips
holding
it
the
in.
space. And again,
Heads
look,
it comes
who's
out.
that?
Chilwell heads it back. Disassi.
Who's that? That was on the
brilliant.
edge of the box and didn't do anything. It looks like Matip, but why is he there? Who's that?
Where?
It's not even on the pitch, Matip.
Oh, Gakpo.
It's a Gakpo.
Yeah.
He wasn't paying attention.
Back to what you was talking about, on Newcastle, The reason why I took Newcastle out is because I rate Pochettino.
Of your top four, you mean?
I took them out of my top four, right? Because I rate this manager, Poch.
He's
and
class.
I think Poch with youngsters, Poch with money to spend is a whole different. This is the one manager that was not blessed with any finances while being the Spurs. Like, he hasn't got what Conte or any of the managers after him received. So you think, well, with all that money and stuff, he has to do well. And the Spurs team, he made them relevant. Let's say he turned Spurs into so that's the only reason. Like, I'm getting with managers' reputation when I'm thinking of my top four.
Yeah.
So with Klopp, I put him in there because it's Klopp.
But how deserves to have a good reputation? Let's not get this twisted. How has done amazing stuff in English football.
That's right.
More than a lot of the people that are coming into the league.
It's just the fact that they've got no champion.
Chelsea
He's
are in
offside,
again.
he's offside.
No way.
He's offside.
He's put it in.
He's offside.
It's 2-1.
He's
2-1.
not.
He's celebrating.
He's offside.
Chilwell.
It's Chilwell 2-1.
Don't tell me.
They've gone from 1-0
Don't
to
tell me
2-1.
he's done it.
In a matter of seconds.
Crazy.
He's done it.
The kick-off is back.
He looked
Wow.
offside.
2 goals in 2 minutes.
No way. Look at the woman. She doesn't know what to do.
She's loving life.
She's
She
got the
hasn't
Harry
got a clue
Potter
who
glasses.
anybody is. She is loving it.
She's like, I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
but yes.
Chilwell. Fancy football fans
No
up and down
way.
the country rejoicing.
Bro, Liverpool
about
are
Chilwell.
shook.
They are. That's a big moment for them to lose 2
Look
goals
at
in
this.
2 minutes.
And Sterling.
Is he on? No, he's off. He's off. He's off.
He's on. You know, look at the leg.
No,
look.
on the
off,
line.
mate.
Guys,
He's way off.
Are we talking
I'm gonna
about the
be
feet?
2 in. I'm gonna be 2.
I was looking at his
I'm about to be
shoulder.
2 in. No, he's on.
He's off.
He's on, and I'm gonna be 2 in
I
2.
remember the
Call
rules
it.
of.
If we're talking
I'm gonna
about-
be 2 and 2 on VAR.
If it's based on foot position,
He's off.
He's on.
He's on.
He's off. So
2 and 2.
But if it's any part of his body, he's off.
Yeah.
You
I
lot
can't
are
remember
all
the
wrong
rules.
on the last one. I'm gonna be 2 and 2 in this
no, no,
situation. I called it offside before.
I did as well.
Yeah, he did get it right. He did get it right. Also, just to be
offside.
clear,
It's
it's
offside.
great to have
We'll
you.
We'll start again. We'll reset.
Sorry,
Here we
it's
go,
offside,
KG.
guys.
Come on, KG. 2 and 2.
I kind of want it to be Stan just because I want Liverpool to.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they're doing
The
it by
red and
any
the
part of
blue
his body.
lines.
I must admit, Liverpool need to switch on, though, right?
He's
They
2
really
and
need
2.
to
Damn
switch
it.
on.
Oh, that's such a shame.
That's a shame, man. This rule needs to be clarified, man. I'm telling you that.
Yeah, I think Chelsea have a major advantage
what's
with
going on there? What's it-
no Champions League football in terms of beating any of the big teams to top 4. Because as we've seen last season, like 3 of the top 4 didn't have Champions League football, right?
Yeah.
They can't bridge that gap in 1 year to Newcastle. I just don't think they.
I
think
yeah.
they can. I don't think they can.
Yeah, I don't think they will. And what I was saying about the kid Miley is when I watch him, I'm going to sound mental here, but I'm like, you could be world class one day. You literally look unbelievable for 17.
The tall kid that's not in the squad yet.
He's in the squad. He has this ability to he controls the game. Like, you know how Yaya Toure used to keep his body between players and just
Yeah.
like he just has this composure. You're looking at him at 17, you're thinking, how far can you go? Because right now, I think you could go all the way.
But the money's going to ruin it because once you got a lot of money, it's hard to work on youth products when you can just buy it.
Have the
Buy
patience
anyone.
for it.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Not with Eddie Howe. Not with Eddie Howe. I think Eddie Howe will do a bit of both.
That's what he stated.
But Newcastle can't spend massive money probably for another couple of years still. So creating a player from within their system. Elliot Anderson's a very good player as well. Looks like he's bulked up in the summer to me. I think Newcastle's squad's in a brilliant place.
Yeah,
Really
Eddie
good.
said we don't want to loan him out because we basically. I think he's like, I don't trust anyone with him. He's that good.
I thought he might start yesterday against Villa because he'd done well in pre-season. Was
Yeah.
involved in a lot of good in pre-season.
But the thing is, Eddie Howe still has to watch his back. As good as he is, he has to deliver because the reality is now that they're doing well and they're in the Champions League, don't think every other top manager is not looking at it as a possibility for their career.
Oh, they can't
and
wait
they're
for that
willing to
job.
go there. So
But they're ahead of schedule though, aren't they? Like they're
way
ahead.
ahead of the schedule.
I don't get this, and I think
Eddie Howe's
actually
going
within
nowhere.
Newcastle fan base and within like all around your club, I think Eddie Howe is, he's safe as anything.
I would
Like,
say
he'd
that.
be one of the safest managers
So
in the
the
Premier
question
League.
for the table then is what would it take for Eddie Howe to be under pressure this season?
if they get knocked out of the group stages of the Champions League, don't win any of the domestic cups and find themselves in the outside the top 6, which is not crazy by the way. Just the sheer amount of games.
I get you.
You then start looking at it and feel like we've given you the tools.
He's
and
still the
you
manager.
haven't delivered.
I think top 6 should be minimum that he should be expected
Minimum.
to get.
If
Yeah.
you finish 7th, he's still the manager.
I agree.
Yeah, he's still the manager, but I would be disappointed, and it would be a backward step in terms of when you look at what we're capable of. You're like, well, you're not getting what you're capable of out of these. So it would be, we'll give you another season, but then the pressure's
But
on.
also
Yeah,
understand
this season's very hit.
it's sometimes not even just about how good or bad he is. It's what managers are available. So if a good manager becomes available and is just hovering around and he's like, oh, we can kind of see how he will do great at Newcastle, he might find himself out of a job anyway. The football world is too cutthroat.
And it's like,
Yeah, just like a top manager just sitting there being like, oh, I'm being on Sky Sports being like, hey guys, doing punditry. He's in the shop window and I
Spurs
feel like
did
someone
this,
do
though.
it.
Spurs did this. This is exactly what Spurs did. Pochettino went and bought in Jose because he was apparently guaranteed trophies, and the club's just gone backwards ever
Yeah.
since.
You know what?
No,
That's
no,
what
but
makes
that's-
me frightened.
Newcastle
Because
should
I
be
feel like
doing
some of
nothing.
these lads, because they were so terrible without Eddie,
Yeah.
I worry
Yeah.
if we pull Eddie, what then happens to
the rest of
a
them.
Joe
Yeah,
Linton
that's why it
or-
would be
I
mad.
think your ownership's more.
Oh my goodness, this is a terrible miss. It is a terrible
that
miss.
Jackson,
This
yeah?
is Jackson.
I
Is
don't
that
know.
your guy?
I think terrible's harsh.
It's terrible.
terrible miss.
Let's not go too crazy.
Kane would
on
have
it.
scored that.
It's terrible, guys.
not.
We have to
Yeah.
call it what it is.
Reece James with the cross into Jackson, and he gets it on the volley and just hits it
Sterling.
over the bar.
Nice little pass.
Nah,
Come on,
terrible
guys.
Okay, you're right.
Terrible
It
miss.
is. I'm wrong.
Kane scores that without any question.
I think the Newcastle board are more switched on than people think, and they know what they've got with Eddie Howe. They'd be absolutely.
This brings me on to this
crazy.
documentary, this Amazon documentary.
I watched it the other day.
Yeah, so I was hoping it would be more like the Arsenal doc where we see more of the players, and it was a little bit of a fluff piece for the board in terms of but it does make you, like Amanda Staveley, it's kind of good for me having her as the focal point and the voice of the board, because she is a good speaker, and they do come across as not like, they don't come across as like ruthless, hot.
Watching right now. This football is fantastic.
They don't come across as like businessmen
apply?
who don't care about players or the club, or like the way Amanda Staveley throws her arms around the manager. She's like, I love you, I care about you all, and she just gives you a different feeling. It kind of works having a queen instead of a king who never turns up. Like, they are there week in, week out, pretty much watching the Newcastle team and involved. They're more involved than like the Arsenal board, it seems.
Whoa.
in my opinion.
Why
You know
would
what?
catch his
Like,
face?
well,
Sorry, I just mean
don't think that's even true.
we have to be honest though. It's a passionate club, innit? Newcastle is like, and it's one of those places that players are gonna love to go because you can become a hero there. It's
true.
It's still, they're not spoiled yet. Because like they're not like Man City fans that just don't care about winning anything. They just move
I don't
on.
think there'll ever be that sort of Man City.
Oh,
the fans
it'll
there,
come.
no, the fans there are like
it
they're
will come,
second
bro.
to none.
No, I think that
will come.
I don't think that we will be like that. I think that they're
you
not.
sure?
We got a screw loose up there, mate.
When you
We're
lot start
we're
to,
gonna be mental.
when you lot consistently win,
Yeah, you're gonna
I don't think that's happening.
You're
anymore.
gonna change.
Because FFP now has specifically fucked Newcastle. Like,
Yeah.
if that wasn't there, well, then we would be buying everyone and anyone right now, the same way the Saudi league are.
No, I'm talking about when you lot have, because you right now you just said you just want to win a cup,
Uh-huh.
right? That's
Win a
gonna
couple.
change.
Do you think that happened at Man United?
Absolutely. That's why sometimes we're just quiet. We've got this thing where it's like, impress us. We'll be watching games and it just like, you're thinking, what the hell's going on?
Yeah,
But
so-
now we've shifted a bit because we've been bad for so long. We go into games. We celebrate the Carabao Cup. You wouldn't have think a Man United side before would have done that.
But by the way,
it's been that bad.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that there's a middle ground where, yeah, we'll be a bit more spoiled, but we're never going to get 10 titles in a row the way Man City did, because the
you
rules
don't
will
know
be
what's
there
coming.
to stop that.
No,
happen
but
again.
the
It will
point,
never happen.
The point
Winning.
is, though,
Look at him.
No, because when you actually are in the Champions League on a regular basis and you have a certain amount of fixed income over a long period of time, also when your players become more assets, like someone like Bruno could easily be gone for 150 million to Real Madrid, and you might have to let him go. But now you have an ability to hide some of your revenue and actually make bigger decisions. So, also Chelsea are still doing this long contract thing, which just seems to be a loophole that they haven't been.
I think
No,
they've
no,
just
it comes.
closed that.
No. But we can still offer the contracts, but they don't class as they're not classed within
5
FFP.
years.
So the FFP is
Still
5
5
years, but we
max.
can still give them 8-year contracts.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I think Newcastle have a great opportunity. I'm actually excited by them in terms of coming to the big table, and I think they will remove Spurs as a permanent member of the top six. Very, if not already. I
think it's done.
I
done.
like how Newcastle are moving, and my worry was that we're going to
Chelsea.
try and do Alano, Joe, and Robinho signings, and they haven't. They've done really good signings, and I'm excited by.
Do you know what, though? I think they would have wanted to do that. From what I heard from people in the know, they wanted to go and get like a Mo Salah. They wanted to go wild, but they just couldn't. So people giving what I'm trying to say is, let's not give the board too much credit. They've done what they could. They had no choice. They could not go out and get Neymar. They had to get Bonds.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think if they could have gotten Neymar in them,
Yeah,
they probably
probably.
would have done.
I think not now, though. I think maybe you're right when they first
Yeah,
came in, but I think they've kind of fell on a strategy that's worked and a manager that's worked. Because let's
Yeah.
not forget, Eddie Howe was not the first choice
Absolutely.
for manager either. So they kind of wanted to go in a completely different direction, but they've landed on something that's working. And I think they'd be crazy to rip that up now.
God, Chelsea are
Since-
ramped.
Yeah, they
Since
are.
Chelsea scored the goal,
Yeah,
they have been
it's
in control
confidence.
of this game.
You got to think, because we've got such a young squad, the confidence factor this season is going to be everything. Like,
So
we've literally just switched on, and like Levi Colwill there, like he's just shown his quality, and that's why so many teams were in for him. This
Liverpool
summer.
are still a threat when they get the ball, but they're
Look at
not
this.
getting the ball enough for me. Like, if you're a
That-
Liverpool fan, you're worrying.
That is exactly what I want to see from my number 26 in defence.
Number 26.
He's taking him out. There you go. Advice.
6 minutes added time for half time, by the way.
It's actually nothing in the grand scheme of things in terms of what we've seen.
What do we
for-
make of this sort of stuff? Like 10 minutes added time.
Disgusting.
Makes sense.
I like accurate things. I think anything that makes it more accurate and more competitive, I'm down for.
I
Is
hate it.
it better to stop the clock, or is it better to do what we're doing here?
I don't think you can stop the clock because then there'll be a disjointed between the referee's time and the actual broadcaster's time.
Yeah, fair.
Letting it run just lets it run, and then we understand how much is at the end of the game. The referee's got to lead it. It can't be broadcast.
Was it ball in play for like what 50% at the time in the Premier League? But I think
Been going down.
Was
down,
it less than 50% last year? I think it was
40. It was like 52 minutes out of 90 was the ball was actually in play.
Which is just crazy. Isn't
A team like Newcastle are not going to be happy about that because they waste time, according to my manager.
Are they wasting time, Brian?
What I love is
what do you think
my
about
manager.
Played the fifth.
Not me, my manager.
My goalkeeper might be in a bit of trouble as well.
Yeah, your goal.
Emi Martinez.
How many bookings did he get?
Seven.
Seven.
Can we talk about this red card claim yesterday? Because I seen that you said it was a yellow.
Yeah.
And I think he's a mental goalkeeper. By the way.
He's off
He
his
came out. I don't know if you've seen I don't think you've seen the match.
I only watched the highlights.
He came out and he took out Almiron, I think it was, and it was on the wing though, so there was still a defender sort of covering.
2 or 3 coming back.
Yeah, I mean,
there?
there was one defender when it happened, but there was 2 or 3, closing. But fair play. But in my head, I was watching that like, okay, it's not a red card because it's not a goal-scoring opportunity, but like, if he gets past it and those defenders are there, it's a bloody dangerous. To say it's not a goal scoring opportunity is a bit mental to me. And I get the law, but I'm like, if you're a keeper and you bring someone down and you're in a position where we just have to make one pass and there's a potential goal there, that's a dodgy rule.
He's done it knowing he's not going to get sent off, hasn't he? Yeah. I could think of the Pope one, the Pope sending off at that cost him the Carabao Cup order. It was more central, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think if it had been central, he'd have got a red card, but he knew because of where he was. I
think it made me think that rule is a bit dodgy. Like,
there's a lot of dodgy rules.
Yeah.
Even Man United, we had one on pre-season where, the Wrexham striker took him out, GBH proper. It was disgusting.
Why on Wrexham as well?
Punctured lung. The guy took out his...
Bro, that was bad.
Yeah.
Did you see the Wrexham manager? He was not happy.
No, it was
I couldn't believe it. I said, no, he's got to do
Who was the goalkeeper at the time? Who was the goalkeeper?
Bishop, I think, was in goal.
Yeah, Nathan Bishop.
Nah, this was...
He was raging, the Wrexham manager.
It was like, I want to take him outside. I was like, oh, all right.
It was like that.
Calm down, bro.
No, he had no right to go for that.
Chelsea with a free kick in. Good chance.
Oh. What was that?
To be honest,
That was a spooner.
I think Chelsea have really come back into this. It looked like it was all Liverpool to start with. They've been really...
Yeah, the last 20
Sterling's
minutes
been
or
really
so.
good, by the way. We have to say it. We have to be honest. He has been good.
He's been good.
I think he's been 6.5 out of 10.
Oh, seven
that's
minimum.
not
He's
Yeah.
been a threat. He's not...
I think he's made
it's
a few
not amounted
mistakes.
to a great deal.
No,
though.
he's made a few mistakes, but when he's the run that he did from the right hand side, that was brilliant. So we'll give him 6.5.
Maybe him
now.
and Jackson could
and he can
work
get
well
better.
together.
He can get better.
You know, you said he needs a main man. Jackson, from what the little I've seen of him in pre-season, he was really good off the last shoulder and dragging defenders away from Sterling, which might give him that space.
I mean, 30 million quid in today's market for a starting number 9 for Chelsea is very good business.
Nkunku was a good deal as well, good price. That's a huge loss, Nkunku. He's such a good player.
Can you believe we've got one of the worst luck in any club for injuries?
Don't talk to me about
Chelsea
injuries.
look good.
Yeah.
That Chilwell run at the back post is there every time.
Yeah.
You know they're
They
targeting
know
Trent.
Trent is-
They're targeting Trent.
Well, you say that, but all pre-season Chilwell has been bombing down the left. So
Shoot, big man.
he's been there. But yeah, Jackson, quality player.
Go on.
I think he's a good player, but I feel for the level of Chelsea, you would have wanted someone up there that's... Like, Chelsea are known for their number 9s, and I think apart from Costa and Drogba, they've had a real problem in filling it on a long-term basis, and I feel this guy is not the answer.
I have faith. I have faith in the recruitment team that we've got at the moment. They are experts at what they
Because
do.
of scattergun.
Yeah.
No, they're
I have
experts.
faith. We just
When you say they're experts, Josh,
Yeah.
what basis is that on?
Yeah.
nothing.
He just looked at me like, fucking hell. What am I going to say? Yeah?
No, not at all. I think,
No, because I'm just wondering what their track record is.
No, but if you look at it, all of the players that we're going for are the elite young players in
Nah,
Europe.
you look,
bro,
you look
that's
like they're like primitive fishermen, bro. They're just throwing the net. We're like, oh my goodness, stingray!
I love this. I love this because
And a dolphin.
And they're like, oh, it's gonna work. It's gonna work.
Oh, God.
I love it though because we get we had loads of stick last time where we're only signing big players that have big reputations. They have egos, they come on huge wages, they end up not performing right. I don't want Vlahovic playing up front for Chelsea. I just don't. And that's the type of player that we would have gone for before, Morata Mark II. But now we've got this guy who's come in, the scouts and the data says that he's a quality number 9, and I'm trusting it.
No. João Felix, who did
João Felix was good. João Felix
what
was
did you
good.
lot do
It's
last
about
season?
balance.
They just went crazy.
João Felix did look like a good player at times.
He did.
But
It's
it just
mentality.
didn't happen.
No, it's mentality with him. The key thing is that he didn't have the elite mentality and he didn't work off the ball. That's that simple.
Eddie Howe wouldn't be having that.
The thing is,
let me
you just said that they've bought all the best talent around Europe, yeah. And if you look at the top, I think there's a list of like top 30 players under 21. You didn't sign any of them. So I don't actually know where that comes from. But I'm happy that you're signing young players. It's a massive change. But remember, you had one of the best academies in the history of academies, and none of them have made it through apart from Reece James.
Levi Cole was playing tonight.
He is playing. Yes, I forgot about him.
Yeah, come on.
Two out of the hundreds that you bought.
Conor Gallagher starting in midfield 3.
He's not even going to be there long.
Yeah.
You tried to sell him twice.
Conor Gallagher. So wait a second. So the point was that we don't have an academy.
No. You tried to sell him 3 times this summer, and he's already received the bid from West Ham or someone else already this summer. So with all due respect, he may not even be here by the start of the season.
But the point was we don't play academy players. We got 3. How many academy players do you have in your squad? In your starting lineup, how many Arsenal
in our
academy?
squad?
Not Chelsea, Eddie Nketiah.
Well, the ones that we bought.
Not Chelsea, Eddie Nketiah.
Are you sure we can't have Nketiah? Forget it then.
But actual
That's just moving the goalpost,
Arsenal academy
moving the
players.
goalpost. As I said, you've had the best academy, and you've had the most players. I think your under 14s team that won the championship, every single one of them are professional players somewhere. And out of that, you still only have 3 people in your squad, and most of them you try to sell. So with all due respect.
Want to move on to the next topic, guys, because I wanted to talk about the future and the legacy of Harry Maguire. He's basically set to leave Manchester United. They've had a bid, I want to say, for around 30 million from West Ham. Have they accepted that?
They have accepted
it.
It's close.
Okay, so now the decision's with him, and previously it didn't seem like he wanted to leave Man United. It just feel like he's going to have to accept, like, mate, you're not at this level. And I feel like he was stubborn for a while. He really wanted to compete for his place, but now he's just accepting reality. Do we think that that's a good fee for Harry Maguire for a start? And how do we think that deal is going to work out for West Ham?
Do you think? At that age, I think that's a decent
I feel like it's a terrible fee because I think if you look at the culture of the types of transfers that are moving around, if he was in better form, he would have gone for more. Obviously not left, but he would have gone for way more. It's so bad that you lose over just under a third of your value. And I feel like, and I'm going to say this because this is my narrative about Manchester United, it's such a terrible culture for players, that are not elitely mentally strong, that he should have been playing at a much higher level. He shouldn't be as bad. The decline shouldn't be as high. And I think in a better environment, he may actually perform better. I think he'll do well at West Ham, and we'll look at it and be like, actually, he's not top level. He's a decent centre-back. Okay. And Manchester United need to look at the culture of their team because they keep destroying players.
So did you, right, so KJ's just come back.
Yeah.
The 30 million from Harry Maguire. You've watched Harry Maguire closely for a long time.
Can't wait
for him to leave?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you think West Ham are getting good value for 30 million?
Absolutely. They're getting
They've already. You don't have to convince them. They've already.
Be honest.
Honestly, they're getting a good player. It's just, when it just doesn't work at Man United. Sometimes players can't play there. It's not for everybody. It's a huge club. Like it or not,
and you think that's why he failed?
Yeah, and then it got bad. I think he became the villain. Because Ollie steps in, he makes him the captain straight away.
That was a disastrous decision.
That was where it went wrong immediately.
But that was what he was bought to do. That's what he
not to be the captain.
He's not that. He's not.
He thinks he's the captain.
He's not a captain of Manchester.
But he thinks he is, though.
Do you think?
Yeah, but
absolutely.
No, he absolutely thinks he's captain material.
But do you think he thinks he is because they made him so? It wasn't like he thought that from
that's
before.
the way he presented himself at England, the way he presented himself when he first came in.
He's got a captain vibe, and I'm hearing
that. Well,
West
it's not
Ham.
just because he's a big centre-back, though.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes you see a player and they say future England captain. You see a player and they say it straight away.
It made
them shy guy. I think he got thrown under the bus a little bit with that decision. He's joined a team that weren't at that point. Really didn't have a direction of travel at all. So he's joined that team, been thrown in there, new signing, huge fee, which was too expensive, let's be honest about it, and then had the added pressure of being made a captain. and he's fallen
I think
under that pressure.
I think personally, and I want to get Josh's take on this after me because I know you quite rate him. I think he is one of the most overrated players I've ever seen.
Nah.
I think he's trash. I think he's absolutely useless. I wouldn't have him near the Newcastle side. I think Jamal Lascelles, who's our reserve defender, is just as good as Harry Maguire. But for some reason, people have just got into Harry Maguire because of the form at Leicester.
Yeah.
He has been, the amount of individual errors he has committed at Manchester United, that is the thing that...
It's been incredible.
Yeah, like, it's almost a record.
But let me come back at
record
you with this
defender,
one.
you've literally committed the most errors as a record. Every game, the amount of mistakes he makes, where it's a lack of concentration, horrendous on the ball.
Yeah.
He gives the ball away in such clumsy ways. He's docile. I don't trust.
So my thing is, right, for the way we want, there's a way Man United want to play, and there's some players that just can't play at Man United. It's one,
But it's not about that. No,
but I think he'll be good when he goes to West Ham.
Okay, so
when he goes to West Ham,
Josh,
he's not going to be in
Josh
trouble.
does rate him, and what do you think? Because I've obviously trashed him.
I just think it's Man United fans, right, have really put pressure on Harry Maguire to a level where everything he seems to do, it's castigated. Like, he's shown to be like a rubbish player, and I just
Is that not? They're not.
Not as a fan, no. You can't blame us for that. If Giroud, if there's a foot race, and Giroud gets in front of him and he's had a head start, something's wrong. In there's certain games, there's many games. So what he's saying is not a bad thing. Like, I'm with him in terms of he makes a lot of mistakes, but it's not the Man United fan. I believe that he can't play there. It's not. He can't deal with the pressure.
Is it fans from other clubs that are making out that he's this like caricature
He's just
player
become a
where he's
joke
so
figure.
bad, or is it coming from? Because I feel for me, it's coming from Man United fans where they're just like, get him out of my team. I'm so ready to go.
It's coming from the whole
Is it?
football world.
The whole thing. It's like
He's become a meme because of his mistakes.
But I don't think that's Manchester United.
He wasn't a meme before the mistakes.
I think for me though, that if you look at his skills, like he can run out of, he can pull the ball out of defence, he can pass out of defence, he can run with the ball,
can stop.
And he's a good tackler, and he's good in the air. I just think he'll end up going to like we say at West Ham, but I think he could do a very good job at Spurs.
Could do really well.
Yeah, he could.
West Ham will suit him because they've got defined. They're very
Oh,
defensive.
okay, so let me counter. When you have more of the ball at a top club, you get challenged less. He will be exposed at West Ham. People will look at him, and I'm just making. He will be tested more, and the more he gets tested, the more of these individual errors will happen, and the more this 30 million will look insane.
I think he'll be one of the better players at West Ham.
He'll be good, and that he get his head to everything. He's going to be one of those that
He'll be protected
they're
as
going to
well.
be bombarded, and it's his type of football. It's because at Man United the expectation is different, and the fact that the armband was probably the worst thing that could have happened is giving Harry Maguire the armband, because then after those moments where he was making mistakes, and what was comparing it to is, well, it felt like he had to be in the team because this was a 60 million investment and he was the captain.
80.
Because people that have left, there was Bailly left, and then there was another defender, that Rojo. He said, look, he's only in the team purely because...
Okay, the narrative, though, was when you brought the better defenders in, was that, oh, well, this takes the pressure off Harry now, so when he does play, he won't feel the pressure as much. Still shite.
No, but I think Man United haven't really addressed the defensive midfielder position up until last year, and so he was heavily exposed by the lack of midfield.
That is fair.
Yeah, the McFred partnership was probably one of the worst midfield
But we did it for
partnerships in
him.
the top
We did
8.
it to protect him.
We did it for you.
No, but I'm saying that I feel like and this is again about a cultural thing about Man United, and I think often when we talk about it in the football sphere, we don't acknowledge that teams have cultures, and there's areas where like you need a certain type of player to survive. The fact that Lukaku failed, Di Maria failed, so many big players at Manchester United go and fail because the culture doesn't allow you to not be jumping straight into the team and being effective. You can't, like right now, Havertz will get 3-6 months playing in Arsenal and he will be covered. He'll be supported by the manager, the squad, the team. Whatever happens, there are people around him that's going to create a culture where he feels safe to be there. If he was at Man United after 2 bad games, it's like, what have you done?
I agree to an extent with you. Marv. In regards to players failing, if you look at players who've come with a lot of promise and a lot of hype, Man United have been a dodgy
It's been
club.
a graveyard.
So I do understand that, but I think now Ten Hag is trying to change that, and he is doing a decent job of it. So one of the first things he's doing is get rid of him.
Yeah.
So like, if he's the good manager with the better decision making and the better tactical nous than all these other managers, and the first thing he wants to do is get Harry Maguire out of the team. He dropped Harry Maguire for Luke Shaw at centre back immediately. First, he was like, "You are shite." His actions spoke.
Yeah.
So for me, I just think he'll be exposed.
But
at West
Fred
Ham.
just left. Phil Jones left 2 months ago. Yeah, there's still a lot around Manchester United that needs to be refreshed.
True.
In a year's time, we can start saying that actually he's building the culture. Because if you think about Arteta, even the year before we did well, there was just enough dead wood around to mess up the culture.
I'm going to tell you right
he was
now.
scratching our
I'm going to
heads.
tell you right now. The culture at Man United is different, bro. As someone that is is there on the ground.
No.
It is on the ground, bro. I'm telling you right now.
I'm saying
it is a different culture altogether. The guy is fully in control, and there's not the level that you can get as close to the players.
Yeah, but Martial's
he's
still there. There's just I'm saying
But he
there's
don't
just
play.
players.
He don't
My
play.
point is they're in the building. I'm not saying that the culture is bad or they're not going to get better. I'm saying it takes a while to get rid of the stench of some of those players, and some of them are still around the squad that have no business being there.
Okay,
so
we've
until
got
they're
a
gone,
vote in.
there's going to be a challenge.
The fans have said, who are listening right now, shout out to you lot. Don't forget to
Shout out to
subscribe. 63% think Harry Maguire is worth the 30 million that West Ham are paying.
There you go.
So
guys.
Definitely
I'm wrong.
worth.
There you go.
I mean,
telling you.
Or they're all full of shit.
30 million for an English
No, they're genius.
starting centre back is actually
Oh,
a really good
let's
deal.
not talk about Gareth Southgate's decision. Gareth Southgate is still saying that Jordan Henderson might get a fucking game for England.
Maguire will go back in the England squad because he's
will.
going to be playing week in, week out. And I genuinely believe in that he'll play some really efficient football and he will look good again. I can't see it any other way. I don't think he was
might
a
be
bad
wrong.
player. I think
Yeah.
the surroundings, the team, the lack of protection, and the scale of Manchester United was just too much for him. And it's fine. It happens.
I was critical of him that he got picked for the World Cup because he wasn't playing. But I got to say, in the World Cup for England, I thought he was good, and he always is good for England.
But this is the thing, right? Being good for England. When you look at the teams England play and you look at a list of the teams that we beat on the road to these cup finals, you're like, well, of course.
Yeah, but he did it in the tournament though as well.
No,
didn't he?
I'm not disputing that. But like, if we took Harry Maguire out and put another Premier League level centre back in there,
that's fair.
I do not
Tomori.
think.
Yeah,
So I swear to God, I watch Jamal Lascelles regularly, and people look at Jamal Lascelles and think
Brian.
he's a bang average, Premier League centre back. I say Jamal Lascelles is easily as good as Harry Maguire.
Crazy.
Easily.
That's crazy.
And this isn't because I like Jamal Lascelles or he's a Newcastle player. This is based on what I've been
You
watching.
sure, mate?
You didn't
Jamal
even-
Lascelles is just as composed, just as good in the air, just all the same attributes, strong, a leader, all of that, and yet is probably not great with the ball at his feet.
You didn't even say Mings.
Everything that Harry Maguire
Yeah.
does, Jamal Lascelles can do.
I would have said Mings. If you had Mings, you would have got me. But I think Jamal Lascelles is out of it.
Mings was found out. Mings was found out playing for England.
I'm not having any Mings slander.
He didn't get in the squad though. He didn't.
Tyrone Mings has never ever let England down. If you look at the clean sheets record when Mings has
He's never
played,
played.
and he follows me on LinkedIn. So
I'm pretty sure Jamal Lascelles has never let England down either. So yeah, we'll see what it is on that one. We actually have got a super chat as well. Thanks to the people sending in their super chats in the comments. So love you, bro, from day one. Get me on if Leeds are back in the Premier League. Love the cast as well. He just said he loves you. Even if they support the Mank scam and Tottenham.
See, that's it. There you go.
Yeah, big love to everyone in the chat. In terms of the second half, lads, this was a really good game of football in the first half. I really enjoyed this. This is the Premier League's back. What are we saying we think will happen in the second half? Chelsea finished the stronger, but Klopp will be giving his team talk and trying to get them to sort that out.
I think he'll try and firm the midfield up a little bit. I think you see Curtis Jones on it at some point for Liverpool. He had a good real back end.
Maybe drop Jota or someone like that off.
He just went down at one point, didn't he, as well, Jota?
I'm so glad you're here, you know. It's
What?
like a proper adult at the table. I love it for you. Make sure you come back. You say something and I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Because he supports Aston Villa, it's just not offensive, innit?
No,
There's no, I'm telling you, if that's coming from a Spurs fan, you'll look at it with...
No. I like Craig Mitch, but we appreciate you. Come back
I
anytime
hope
you
Craig's
want.
all right with the whole Harry Kane thing. He put a post out, and I mean,
he's on holiday. I think he's okay.
Yeah,
He's okay.
he's
Checking
got to
on his
Germany.
Spurs
He's just carrying on, looking after Harry. But yeah, personally, I predicted 2-1 Chelsea, and I do feel like that could well be the case.
I predicted 3-1 Liverpool.
Yeah.
But then this performance from Chelsea in the first half. After they scored the goal, they was all over them. So
And
it's going to be moments.
This is a brand new Chelsea side who are all literally just getting used to playing with each other. Whereas with Liverpool, obviously they've got a couple of new players in the middle, but everyone is far more gelled, far more experienced. Klopp knows them inside out. And I don't know, I just thought that they would, even though I picked Chelsea, I thought that they would have looked a more comfortable team in this. And this is boding well for Chelsea, in my opinion, under the new manager.
Yeah.
This is kind of cool. Reece James being in, like, as
The
the
captain.
The captain
It's
is
so
pretty
good.
cool. It is cool.
Academy product playing.
How's that feel?
It's just great.
It's what you dreamed about 10 years ago.
It literally is. And having an academy product, a team that is built with 3 academy players, as we said, in the team. It's just
Where
it's just
do
brilliant.
we rate Reece James in terms of like world class defenders? Do we think he's in that
Just
top
injuries,
bracket?
just injuries.
Yeah.
Just below Kyle. Wait, Kyle Walker in it is the main one of like
England are so lucky with the right
I
backs.
think they're
I
in
think
transition.
this man would say Trippier.
I think they're in transition between being exchanged over for it being about James. I like him a lot. I think he has an elite mentality, great physicality in terms of his body and presence, but just shame about the injuries. And I think that will end up haunting him long term. And it's a shame that he's become captain now while his fitness is so unstable. But I would love
Why is
him
it
at
a shame?
Arsenal.
Oh.
It's just a shame because
you wanted to buy him?
No, but I would love for him to represent like at the top level, even for England as well. It's a great value add. He's brilliant as a defender.
He's such a complete player, like
He
in
is
that
brilliant.
role. There's nothing he can't do.
I didn't know Chukwuemeka was playing.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
Think of their England right backs. So we're saying Walker, Trippier, and Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think Reece James has probably got bits of all of them.
yeah.
And he's arguably the most complete.
He's the one I'd start if they were all fit and playing regularly.
I just love
Over
Kyle Walker
Trippier.
in a big game.
Yeah, I love Trippier, but if you're building towards the future, I think Trippier is in his prime, and if you need someone like he's great.
Reliable.
Don't get me wrong, I would never raise an eyebrow like he's my guy. I love Trippier, but I just mean like in terms of the future, I think Reece should be the guy.
He will long term be. I think it's between him and Declan Rice for who's England captain of the future. And I think they both have a really good chance. I personally just really like Reece James, and I wish he would care about Arsenal more. But he did tweet specifically saying he would never join us.
Okay, that brings us on to Arsenal because we did a prediction show where we had Irish Michael on, who has said that Declan Rice was a walking, talking potato, which I was like, wow. And he was like, he's so overrated. It's English tax, and that Arsenal are going to have a hangover because of last season. Like they didn't get the title, and therefore they're going to have a mental collapse. And KG kind of agreed, right?
Yep, because I hate Arsenal and I can't help it. And it
wasn't just 'cause you hate them.
And also, I believe
You
that
said the
there's a
pressure
lot of
would get
pressure.
them.
I believe there's a lot of pressure there. I watched them yesterday. Good. They were good. You know what I mean? But I would say like the pressure will amount for something, but then it's like Martinelli, he looks like he's got more levels. And Saka definitely has more levels. So it's like, even with all the hate that I have in my system, I can see that, Martinelli's still good. There's still more to come.
I know you've got hate, but like for Michael, he was dead set. Like they are not getting top 4, and they are going to have a hangover. What do you think of it, Marv? Like, what do you think you guys should be favourites, or where do you put them?
I won't say that Michael's unqualified to speak on top teams.
Michael's gotten things bang on before where I thought he was talking rubbish.
No, but he it's a personal agenda because Rice abandoned Ireland, and I think this is now petty. The actual reality is that we look better than last year. We have more options than last year. We've signed great players. And so I feel personally that we'd be more competitive. But as I said about Newcastle, because we're now trying to do a little bit more and we're trying to be in the Champions League as well, I think it isn't as simple as we'll win the league now because we've got these better players. I think there's a part of us that will struggle with the amount of games. And I think at the moment we're going to be really vulnerable around not having another striker who guarantees us 30 goals. But I'm really optimistic.
What about Man City, though? Because when we're looking at Man City, to me anyway, with them losing Gundogan, with them losing Mahrez, who for me are 2 clutch players who, when things are a bit like, they're slowing down towards the end of the season, they just turn
means
up.
nothing.
Right?
They'll be fine.
Let me finish, though. Let me finish. Kevin De Bruyne went down injured early in that game the other day. And yes, it didn't matter against Burnley, but if that's the sort of thing where when you don't have those two players who regularly come in handy in those tight spots, if Kevin De Bruyne does get a big injury, you're then kind of looking, I know you've still got Bernardo Silva, Foden and Grealish, but it ain't quite the same Man City. So there might be an opportunity to get at them there. And I think for me, when I'm looking at Man United and Arsenal, I'm like, you guys better be there. You better be there or thereabouts, because if City do slip, you have to catch them. And you've spent more than enough money to be in that situation if there is a slip.
Well, there's the thing with Man City, right, is even you saw it in that game, and I was like, hopefully Pep's not as on it this season. He's won the treble. He should be a bit more chill. You saw them
I'm a chill this season.
You saw them at the after the first half, and he was on to Haaland. Haaland scored I was like, wait a minute, this guy is like, the hunger has not resided on
not one
nothing.
bit.
He's on it. And the funny thing is, even when you saw Kevin De Bruyne go down, we should have been worried in the league, because they will still, now they're linked to Paqueta. There's a high chance that he will turn up there.
Paqueta's a very good player
for a long time.
He seems to play like a number 8 role for Brazil. I'm not really sure what Man City would do, whether we'd push him further forward. But when I've looked at him, it's funny because when they go to Man City, they go up a level, right? So I'm saying this now with what I've seen at West Ham. But when I've looked at him, I'm not like, okay, you're the guy who is going to do what Gundogan did.
Yeah, but look at Kovacic. 1 second. Let me look at Kovacic in that game. Looked like he's been playing there his whole life.
Yeah.
He looked. He just slotted in, and it was just
Against Burnley, just to be clear, though.
Still, it
I don't
doesn't
think
matter.
Kovacic is Gundogan levels, personally.
I think it's the same kind of clutch player of experience. Remember, he's won Champions Leagues, and he's also come from Real Madrid to Chelsea, and he's now at Man City. Also, there is never any correlation between the player that Man City signs somewhere else and then who they become at Man City. There's no correlation. They always go up a level in a way. And also, because they're such a system team, if you find someone to plug the system, it doesn't actually matter. You don't need the best players in the world. You need people who are disciplined, the right mentality, who are going to do the things that Pep says, and then it happens. That's what I'm saying. For them, they're a machine to me. I don't look at them.
Ake. Look at Ake.
Ake,
you would never
Akanji.
believe it's the same guy from Chelsea. Ake was probably one of the best players last season, and he's fantastic.
You're right.
No, but I understand they had Ake, Akanji, and Rico Lewis, rotating in their defense. They have no business being anywhere near a championship-winning defense, but they are doing bits.
I remember there was a time without Haaland, without a striker. They did it without a striker.
Yeah,
bro.
well, they've got Alvarez, right? So, but in regards to Arsenal bringing it back, look, they were breathing down the throats of City and literally were top for the majority of last season.
And they bottled.
Are they in any danger from other teams around them to lose the spot of, the bridesmaid?
Arsenal will be close to City. I think they're watching the both of them over this first weekend. So both teams, both teams are 2-0 up in their games. Man City take the foot off the pedal, still get that third goal.
Yeah.
Arsenal took their foot off the pedal in the second half and nearly got caught, didn't they? It was very, very close and a bit antsy towards
I think
the end
that's a
of the
great way
game.
of putting the difference between the two.
So,
right now.
but with Man City, Pep now towards the end of the season just played a completely different style. He's got 4 centre backs playing at the back. They're very physical. I think the reason Man City will win the league is because I don't think they'll concede more than 15, 20 goals this season, Manchester City. He's built that new system now with the defenders. They've got 6 centre backs on the books at the moment. Barely any fullbacks. Kyle Walker's the only fullback. But they're just so comfortable in games now.
Are you worried, Marvin, in regards to your spot, though, as Arsenal, like to be the team that's right there if City do
Penalty check.
This is a
Everybody
definite
check
penalty.
it out.
This is handball,
It's
clear as day.
definite handball.
Clear as day.
We've seen it.
Oh,
If he
what?
goes and looks,
No,
left and
he's just a play on.
he's
Yeah,
a
because it was
snake.
within his body, right? It was an
Mate, his
accidental
hand was up here. His hand was up by his chest.
I thought it was on his chest, as in like that.
Brian, his hand like this.
Okay.
Up here.
Well,
If I'm a Liverpool fan, I feel aggrieved right now.
A little bit.
Does anyone understand the handball rule anymore? Like,
The
I
one
just
that got
don't.
given
I just
the
don't
Brighton
get it.
game
I don't follow any rules.
it's a load of
Yeah.
shit.
Just score.
Liverpool are on the attack, and it's over.
Oh, what a challenge!
Going back to Marvin, though, is there any teams that you particularly are like, okay, we've got to obviously hope Man City stumble, but is there anyone that you're worried about taking Arsenal's spot as the second place?
I don't think they'll take our spot, but I do have a lot of respect for Man United this year because I actually think Ten Hag has organised the best you possibly can with the players that he had, and he seems to have an ownership of the squad of players, which is great, and they spent a lot of money. I think that by far they're the most likely to be competitive. I just don't think they will surpass Arsenal. I think they'll just be around longer and they'll be more competitive on more fronts. I think Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, Newcastle will fight for that 4th place, and I think ultimately it will come down to the best 2 out of these 2.
Oh, the chance for Chelsea.
Please,
Surely.
finish it.
Good save.
save.
What a save.
That is a quality save, Alisson. Well done, mate.
It's always
Yeah.
it's always that left
Chill
side
well.
where Trent they're targeting that
And
again.
then Trent does
Sterling,
decent,
great
innit?
play here.
Oh, yeah, he
Enzo
gets sucked
pass
in.
as well.
He gets
Mate,
sucked
Trent
in.
is
Wow.
fucking miles away.
Gets sucked in.
Mate, Trent
He
is
should
so
have
lucky
scored
he's
that.
got the best keeper.
He should have scored that.
Yeah,
goal.
that's a goal.
But yeah, just in short, the answer is I don't worry about Man United. I think they have a really good chance of doing really well, and I think they're the most likely to be competitive, but I don't worry about them. I think they'll come third
Disrespect.
and be closer to the top 2.
Good window, though, from Man U. I think they've brought
Great
3
window.
players in that completely suit what Ten Hag wants.
And what needed.
And, Mount with his pressing will be exactly.
I find
Ten
the
Hag's.
the Højlund transfer. Not that I don't rate him because I don't look. How much can anyone
You're
rate
paying for
him?
potential.
Yeah, they're paying for potential. Absolutely fine, but when you look at how much more you'd have to spend to get Harry Kane, you're like, God, you've wasted
It's
money.
It's
Spurs
shocking
wouldn't
that we
do it.
didn't do it, but then you're buying a guy for the future. We've tried to sign so many different types of established strikers: Cavani, Falcao, Ibrahimovic. Brought back Ronaldo. It's like we have to try something new. So we just
I don't
said,
know,
let's try it with this kid
Yeah.
and see where it goes. He's quick. He's good. Apparently, he's good in the air.
I think he'll do well. My worry is that they signed him injured and he has an injury problem that keeps reoccurring. I think that's a worry for me. But I think out of all the options that were available, the only one I would have said that would have made more sense is Ramos from Benfica. I'm surprised no one went crazier for him because he just looks incredibly compelling as someone who would definitely get a lot of goals in the Premier League.
Onana will transform Manchester United going
Yes.
forward,
Oh,
as crazy as that sounds. Having a goalkeeper that can make the whole team can push up 20, 30 yards higher. De Gea couldn't do that stuff.
Yeah, he's a great signing.
He's a good shot stopper, but he'll also just transform what they do going forward.
I saw some of them playing around the defence, and I looked at it and I said, this would never happen a year ago. And it was actually really beautiful to see. That's why I think that they can play in a slightly different way, and I'd be interested to see how Ten Hag sets up going forward. But I still think there's just a couple of pieces of that just don't really sit right with me with Man United. And Anthony, for example, I just don't see him establishing himself as an answer in any way, shape or form.
Do you not think it might be second season, a bit like City, where you never see the best of someone in the first year, that maybe in the second season you might see a different player?
To make that possible, you need to have your system be so efficient. Like Grealish, for example, only works because the system is so efficient.
Yeah.
And so therefore, that is the reason why he will do well. The other thing is, I haven't seen the attribute that Anthony has that
Hardworking.
Premier League wise.
He is
going to
hardworking.
make it.
He's hardworking.
You know what it is? Like when I think of hardworking, I think of like a Milner or a Jordan Henderson.
I don't think he was bought in with everyone else looking at him. When he signed, I thought, there's a hard-working player.
Yeah.
I think he was bought to be flair, to be creative, to turn it on. And so far, that's not quite
But
happened.
definitely in a Ten Hag side, he wants his players to press. He wants his players to have. It's not only, and he wants the attitude, but he does help out in terms of on the right hand side. He does provide that balance. The only thing that we haven't got is hello.
I've got a genuine question for you.
Go ahead.
Is he even in Manchester United's best 11?
He is
You think?
because he's with Sancho there.
I quite like it when Fernandes plays there. And then
hell no.
And then you've got Ericsson, Mount, and
No,
Casemiro.
I
I like
hate
that.
I hate
I think he's
Fernandes
really-
not being in the
I
10.
think- I think he's
He
really
needs,
good there.
Fernandes needs to be in the 10. I didn't like. In the big games, we've always gone for Fernandes out wide, and it doesn't make any sense. Fernandes
because he goes
should
missing in
create.
games.
No, he doesn't. He's been put out. He's been put out on the right hand side
'Cause they don't trust him.
to help. No, to help out because the other players haven't been good enough. So
to help out on the wing.
Could you
No,
go
yeah,
for
because
like,
other players have not been good enough.
You're not
You
putting
put him
you
out.
would never
find
there.
you would never find Odegaard on the wings, just to be fundamentally clear.
All right, cool.
Could you play Garnacho in the right side and then Rashford left?
I haven't seen him on the. I haven't seen Garnacho play on the. I've only seen him operate the best out on the 1 second.
Crossing from Chelsea. Back post.
Oh, he
Just
was
over
in
him,
the
just over him. We're playing very well here. We've got a
is
lot of
going
pressure.
on?
I have
Liverpool.
missed the Premier League so much.
I haven't missed the blood pressure that I'm getting watching Chelsea. I'll tell you that for sure.
What about in terms of overall transfers? Is there any other than? I mean, I've put myself out there and said Harry Maguire. I don't think that's a good transfer. Is there any absolute stonewall flops in your head where you're like, that ain't a good bit of business?
I don't want to say Havertz because he's ours, but I'm so worried about that transfer.
I think you should be.
I really don't get it.
What's he look like so far in pre-season and that?
So he is.
I see the goal challenge thing didn't go so well.
So there's a couple. No, there's a couple of
Viral.
things. One, I think his height is a value add for us. We need that height. So when we want to play out the back long, he's competitive. He's not as.
How much was he?
he's
Sorry,
not-
how much was he?
1 second.
Wait, how much was he?
You're very loud.
You're
in my
paying like
headphones.
60 something for height.
You're very loud. in my headphones. And
That's like me talking about working hard.
He was a very good defensive ally in the team. So he played that Shaka role really, really well yesterday, and I watched it.
That's so weird, though, isn't it?
But
not
it's
what he was bought for.
But it's not what I would have bought him for, or it doesn't make sense to me. That's what he's bought for. So I do worry about him. But I do feel in certain games, especially that Champions League experience and things like that, he will play in different positions, like false nine and stuff, and he will bring something different to the team. And that I'm interested in. I would have preferred Mason Mount than over him. I would have preferred quite a lot of people over him, to be honest, in playing that role.
I thought, why are you signing someone who Chelsea... There's a giveaway. Whenever the fans of the club he plays for, like, oh, thank God, that's a bad sign, right? Like, that's what I'm talking about with Maguire.
Total bad sign. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we can't wait for him to leave.
I
But
could
then
tell.
this Kai Havertz one, I've never seen Chelsea fans celebrate so much. And it was like, they're going to pay us what?
I couldn't believe the money involved. Like, honestly, it was like winning the lottery. It was
Do you know
literally like
what
winning
it
the
is?
lottery.
I trust Arteta so much, yeah, that's why I speak very, very like cautiously about it, because I trust him so much. If he sees something and he's able to get it out of him, because again, we talk about football clubbing culture. Chelsea's culture is similar to Man United's culture. It's either just make it or don't. Maybe they're evolving, but normally it's just like make it or don't, and we'll replace you. I think the culture at Arsenal is we will find the thing in you and have more patience around
And bottle
developing
it.
you.
And bottle
we'll
it.
see what happens. I'm intrigued to see if we're able to turn him into something. Like someone said, he's very similar to Van Persie. I don't see that yet, but I would wish if he ever
said
did.
that?
So I can't remember. It was a pundit on Twitter. I watched a proper pundit.
He
as
needs
well.
to be sectioned.
But I would love it if he was.
You need to search that tweet.
The jury is out. I pray for it, but I don't see it right now. But I hope he figures it out.
Yeah, that does feel a bit mental. Any from you, Dan?
Spurs keeper Vicario. Mate, I just think when David Raya was available, if you could have gone and got him and made him your number one,
You
that
really
seemed
don't
like
wanna
that seemed like a no-brainer.
Shocking that.
Vicario, I'm not going to sit here and say I've seen loads of him, but he doesn't strike me as a massive upgrade to Lloris, although he'll obviously be better with his feet than Lloris. But I think if you want a bona fide number one, someone who's a guaranteed success, I don't see Vicario.
They spent 20 million euro on him, so
Could be the goal here.
I'm sorry, yeah. So not cheap either. Like I mean, cheap-ish, but
Is it the right level for where you want to be? That would be my question. When Raya is Premier League proven and was available for the fee he was available for a little bit more money, I just think that would have been an absolute no-brainer for me.
yeah. I mean, Chelsea have bought a lot of players. Is there any you're worried about, Josh?
I'm not actually worried about any of them.
You
flopping,
don't know
no.
the fuckers?
Yeah, exactly. We'll wait and see if they're any good or not.
Can
That's
you
the
name
thing. Yeah, can I name 10? Yeah, God. We've done about 10 signings. No, for me, like, you can't look past Kai Havertz. Like, he's got to be the one that you're not sure on. Like, with Chelsea, they're not big enough egos and big enough quality, like, known
That
players
is
to be
actually
able to do
one
it.
positive that you have, and I feel like Newcastle benefited from that. Of when you have a bunch of players who haven't yet proven themselves, we've got quite a young team as well. It enables the manager to have more power and therefore put more pressure on them to either deliver or you will put someone in your role. So that might benefit Chelsea a little bit. We've just seen Nunes warming up. I've always liked him from day one, to be honest, even though it was a bit rough at times last season. I did feel like, your first season, everyone sort of held him up against Haaland, which was ridiculous to start off with, nowhere near the level.
Similar price tag.
Well,
was more.
allegedly.
more.
I mean, if you look at my Raiola's poor dead Raiola's, inheritance that he's left to his
Poor
kids.
dead Raiola.
Yeah,
R.I.P.
there's
R.I.P.
at least 100 million there with Haaland's name on, I would imagine. But no, I just mean he was never going to live up to the Haaland comparison, and I thought that he had some really good games for Liverpool and caused a lot of problems for other teams, even though he's not
He's not 85 million
he's not the
pounds,
It
clinical
says something
finisher.
him not starting though.
Yeah, he's not 85 million.
But I think part of it is an embarrassment of riches that Liverpool have in a front four.
No, they wanted him to start. They don't buy that and then have him on the bench coming on that 65 minute.
Oh no, I don't think they don't want him to be on the bench, but Klopp has a lot of options, and that's part of the reason. He's got a lot of good quality players. I personally thought he would be starting more by this point and that they would trust him. If Klopp doesn't trust him, well then, I mean, it's a lot of money to be paying every week.
I think he'll mill around the team for about 2 more seasons and then he'll find a new home. It's difficult to say that without sounding like I'm being cheeky or something, but there's a certain time frame in a way that players integrate, and I haven't seen enough to say that you're going to get it. And there's too much talent in this squad for him to get a clear run of games. So he has to come in and really take that position by the bull of the horns. But I feel like he just won't cut it, unfortunately.
Shows you how hard it is to buy a striker. This is why Newcastle have had an absolute worldie with Isak.
Yeah.
Look at who Manchester United are having to sign, having to pay for this potential. Liverpool have paid 85 million.
You know, the
for
ironic
Darwin.
thing is we were in for Darwin Núñez. They paid 15 million more for Núñez
Oh my goodness.
than we paid for Isak. And Darwin Núñez has got a goal in every 3 games for Liverpool. And Isak's basically averaging a goal a game.
But Isak wasn't cheap. He still was
yeah,
70
he's
odd
still
million.
expensive.
Like it
but
wasn't.
he was our backup option to Núñez.
I hear you, but I feel like when you're still spending that level of money, like that's what we expect from Isak. If you're spending 70 million, you're not looking at 70 million to get 10 goals a season. So he's definitely doing what he should do. But to get a number 9 is really, really tough.
Yeah.
That's why I say for Ramos to go, where did he go for 60, 65 or something?
65 plus add-ons.
Yeah, I think that's still the best deal of the summer. I don't see why no one didn't go crazy for him and bring him in. And then you look at Man City getting Alvarez for 15 million. Like you just like there are some gems. And I think some of the top 6 need to start buying players before Brighton process them for a year.
Gakpo and Jones Jones and Núñez have come on for Gakpo and Jota. So that's a pretty interesting change. We've obviously got Jones with a bit of metal in the midfield,
I predicted
some heavy
that.
metal up front.
You did.
You
That's what-
did.
that's what
Yeah.
we're glad you're here, mate.
You've been on point.
Jones to come on and
2 in the bar predictions as well. Well done.
Darwin, when he doesn't have time to think, he's a good finisher. When he has time to think, that's
that
when he
Papi
goes.
Cissé
That's when he
type
goes.
finisher.
Yeah, it just goes awry, doesn't it?
That's just a mad thing to say about a striker.
know.
It just tells me that you're not there. Like you know that sometimes we're obviously analysing, but we just sometimes don't even think about what we just said. If he has time to think, he's not a good striker. You're not a good striker, mate. Because really and truly, that means if you're through on goal, you have time to think about it, and we can't count on you. Nah.
That's a pressure issue, right? Like you're a bit of a bottle job in that moment, or maybe you're just not that good.
No, sometimes you're good, but you just, again, it's instinctive more so than you really trying to plan it. You just, when you get in front of goal, you just know what to do.
Papi
you know?
Cissé, he used to drive me mental because if you sent him through one-on-one with the keeper and gave him 10 yards to think about it, you'd guarantee it was going wide. Whereas he could bend shots in from all angles where he wasn't even looking at the goal.
Mental.
Crazy footballer. Chelsea have been in control so far in this second half, I would say, but Liverpool still just as dangerous as they are in terms of chances and shots.
I never got to ask you about the St. Maximum legacy.
Oh.
What's that for you?
Do you know what? It's really it's a weird emotional thing. Like, I guess you kind of don't know what you've got until it's gone. Yeah. So, like at Newcastle at the start, he was trying to do all these step overs, and the end product, was there a little bit, and he was kind of our shining light of fighting relegation. Give it to St. Maximin from Steve Bruce, and hope he does something. And he would, and he did just enough to keep us in the league. So we're always going to love him for that. But then Eddie Howe turned him into this player of like tracking back, really thinking about delivering for other players, trying to be the perfect team player. And his attitude just totally changed as a person on the pitch. And then off the pitch, he was always a really lovely guy with the charity stuff and whatever. And then the way he's spoken about the club with such class, like after he's then left and went to Saudi, I think 23 million for him is like when people were questioning that as if, is there dodgy dealings? I'm like, Alan St. Maximin is a very good player. Like if you look at his skills, and the end product is it's sometimes hit and miss, but like he does everything you want a midfielder to do for you, really, and he's got a great attitude. And I think the way he's spoken about the club in such high regard, and you'll always love Newcastle fans, and that you kind of like he's totally changed my mind about him. Like in terms of the way he ended his career, giving 100%. Like last season, he came on against Man United and just ripped them to shreds. And he was one of those players. Like if you're playing against City or Man United, he's like, I want to show how good I am.
Yeah.
Big game player. And I think the Saudi League is way better for him in it. And when you look at him immediately linking up with Bobby Firmino and Mahrez, what a front three that is.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I might watch the zone for those fronts. That's box office.
So I'm definitely watching that league. There's a lot of players to look out for, and there's a lot of quality. Although Mendy did really show why he definitely left Chelsea.
That last game was brilliant yesterday. Wait, the Al Hilal versus Ronaldo's team.
Yeah, it's for me. It's already like above MLS, for example, and I think it's only going to go from strength to strength.
They've dedicated 17 billion to investing in the league. That's insane.
You lot are so lucky. FFP is a thing, man. We would have bought your whole shit.
Yeah.
Every top player in the league would be with us right now.
That was
Enzo.
Play.
nasty from Enzo.
The football that's going on for Chelsea right now is absolutely
very good.
brilliant.
Do you know what's funny,
Fluid.
though, right? Just to calm us down in that, Chelsea fans. When Frank Lampard took over Chelsea, I remember watching their football going, he's giving them identity. Look at them playing. I was sold. I'm ashamed to admit. I remember thinking Frank Lampard had transformed Chelsea. They were so good. Do you remember at the start?
Yeah.
They looked like a different thing entirely, and then it all just fell apart.
He did quite credibly say that it was impossible with the amount of people who were hovering around the club who were really unhappy, and they weren't able to get rid of them. And look how many players they've got rid of in comparison.
He kicked the can down there. You don't try it.
Listen, I feel like whoever came in, they weren't.
I felt for him. You know.
I did.
There was you know when you look at a man's face, you're like, you love this club, don't you? You're just literally.
He'll do it again. If they called him in again, he'll do it again.
He better not.
But you know the Saudi thing, going back to it, is like, what did you guys make of Jordan Henderson's move to Saudi? Because there was a lot of things he said about the LGBT community and supporting them and saying, you know, I wouldn't want to entertain that if people I care about didn't feel comfortable. And then a miracle happens and they're black and whiting out the captain's armband on the signing video. Did you see that? So there's a video they made to launch the signing of Jordan Henderson, and they kind of do this black and white meets colour edit, but conveniently, the thing that's constantly black and whited out is his captain's armband. Well, of course, that means the rainbow armband won't then be visible. We've just had a shot on goal.
Jackson.
Again.
He just showed his pace there. Can we just say, like, he
might
went
have to
straight
bulk.
past Canada.
He's a threat, though.
He may have to bulk up to survive this league.
So basically they black and whited out Jordan Henderson's armband to not draw attention to the fact of the support for the rainbow colours on the armband, obviously for the LGBTQ thing. So he then signs for Saudi, and a lot of people point to that and go, well, where's your morals now?
It's a Jack move. Obviously, like we all understand that you've gone there for money and you've abandoned your values to go there for money. There's no way to put it any other. We appreciate that he's a very nice person. According to everyone I know that's ever met him, and he's been a great professional and a great leader for Liverpool. But at the end of the day, he's taken a heist. He's taken as much money as he could and he's run off. I think
the other thing for him is he made himself that guy. He said things. No, a lot of people are taking the money. I've got no problem taking the money, but when you put yourself on a pedestal of I'm this guy, you can't then shoot yourself in the foot.
I think everybody wants to, especially as a leader and as was he vice captain of England. Yes, you're going to say all the things that need to be said and toe the line and all the big things. He also was really good in terms of BLM and the Premier League. He did lots of things in leadership. He was leading a lot of the captain calls, all of those things. But when it came down to it, all of those values have now been eroded. All those memories have been eroded.
I love that word, you know.
Absolutely
eroded.
Yeah, we don't see him in the same way. If you're an ally, you're really an ally. You can't be an ally until a certain level of money comes, and then it's like you abandon it, and then expect us to respect you. You've gone to get your money. You're going to look after your family. All those things I agree with in terms of what is about for you, but in terms of how we see you, you're not the same guy.
Has he even come out and said, like, I'm trying to make a change or anything?
Nope.
I don't see the fact.
Because he can't.
If he actually,
what are you going to do?
If he actually went over there and said, I'm trying
You're
to
going
make
to
a
go
change.
talk to the sheikh and all that.
No, but also,
I'd like to have a word with Prince Khalid.
you have to understand, you fundamentally can't. Saudi Arabia is not a country that's going to change its values off of the back of it. They're lightening some of their rules to make their country much better for tourism. But there are certain things that aren't going to change. And there's no way on earth he's going to have any impact on it.
I'll tell you what. total different topic, but have you seen that long line of houses and shit that they're building throughout the country?
Oh, the line.
It's called The Line.
Yeah,
The line.
yeah.
Fuck me.
Oh,
It looks-
what is that virtual, like kind of virtual
Yeah,
reality?
yeah, it looks like the future, bro.
Man.
It looks absolutely mental.
I'll be honest, there's a lot about what Saudi Arabia are doing structurally as a country that many countries can learn from, but you can't get past those value systems, those things where, people from the LGBT community don't feel safe. It's too big. It's too big to ignore. It's the same thing with Man United and Mason Greenwood. We can't ignore it.
Oh my God.
Yes. We can't ignore it. We just have
You know what?
to say it.
I do want to get into that, and I don't want to talk about what Mason Greenwood's done. We've done all that. We've covered that in depth.
No, we should cover it one more time.
And I know you're not a fan, and none of us are, right? And I think we're all everyone in football who I've spoken to is united in saying, look, what he's done is terrible, and therefore Man United shouldn't be entertaining the idea of him staying. But the reason I wanted to cover it a little bit was because of Manchester United, and they are who I want to focus on here, and not the fans. I don't mean any disrespect to the fans when I say this, because the fans have no power. They have no say. They have no say in the owners. They have no say in what the owners are going to do, and it's not Man United. And I actually feel sorry for the fact that they're in a situation where they're now going to be going to a football match potentially if this guy gets reinstated, and having a dilemma of do I celebrate goals? They're being put in a horrendous position, in my opinion, and the fact that Manchester United constantly do not make a decision on this. In this indecision and this time that they are taking, to me, seems like they're just trying to delay until it's safe to say they want to keep
They do not have the support of the people that they said they have the support of. And there's no way they went to the women's team and asked them the question.
Well,
they
on
turned
that,
around.
Mov, I want to bring that up because they keep leaking things deliberately. What they're doing is they're testing the water constantly. Can we get him out now? And they've then put it on, we're delaying the decision because we want to talk to the women's team. It's like, how long have you had to
no
do this? And then,
Do you know how shameless it is?
And do you know how bad?
Yeah.
The women then start getting bombarded
Of course.
on social media because they're saying, blame's all on you now, ladies.
Yeah.
And the women are like, what the hell? We're getting hammered on social media saying, let them keep him, let them keep him. It's like, can you not just be a football club and make decisions on your own accord instead of blaming the sponsors, blaming the women? It's Man United's decision as a club.
Sorry.
Dude, just what's really bad about it is these women, the Lionesses, are focusing on making history.
Yeah.
Right? And to do that, to say that before the big game against Colombia is ridiculous. Because we already know that their
Instagram's blowing up.
blowing up. Oh, what is he?
He does not look happy at all. So Salah's coming off.
Mo Salah's
He's being
pissed.
replaced by an 18-year-old.
My goodness.
And he's
Salah
looking
is furious.
fuming.
I've never seen nothing like this.
He's not happy at all. It'll be very interesting to see the reaction here.
Has he-
Let's see what he does with Klopp.
To be fair,
is he going to shake the hand with Klopp?
He shake the hands of his teammates.
No,
but
no
no
way.
handshake.
he's
with
walked
Klopp.
straight past Jurgen Klopp. He is
No
pissed.
way. And who did he bring on for him?
He doesn't
That's
actually
not
have
good.
the right to be upset. To be honest, I think.
No, he's
He's played well.
Nah,
He's been decent.
I don't think this is the Salah of 2-3 years ago. And I'm not saying that he's not worth being on the pitch. He clearly has done very well. But relax, bro. There's such a long way to go, and I just feel like that creates another distraction now. So if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be slightly annoyed because now we're talking about that as a subplot.
I like it.
To the team.
And Ben Doak in pre-season has played really well. The guy that has come on, he's looked really good. I think he is 18.
All right, Darwin Núñez dropped the shoulder.
Is there anything that you lads want to add to what Man United are doing by just delaying and
No, it's poor form. Just to be very clear, as a club, it's poor form all the way around. I don't care what club it is, by the way. If Arsenal were doing this, it's the exact same thing. You got to make much better decisions on behalf. It means way too much. You don't understand that we woke up on a Sunday morning and saw it live. It wasn't like an idea and a rumor and some conversations. We saw the evidence of what he had done. You should just make a really powerful statement and on behalf of all players and behalf of all men in the game, and just not make it a decision that women even have to make.
Yeah.
Just handle it.
We're going.
sorry, timing's nonsense. There's no way this shouldn't have been sorted out.
Well, do you know what?
Started.
I mean,
Ridiculous.
I've made much different mistakes in my life, but when brands had to deal with me, they did it quickly. Do you know what I'm saying? So this nonsense about time is absolute rubbish.
Yeah.
It is all about money and how they can preserve as much of it.
Do you know what it also says here is that we need a much higher moral threshold than whether brands or whether the law permits that something is wrong or not. We actually have to
It's
use
Manchester
our
United.
own eyes.
Yeah, it's on them.
But we got to use our own eyes in terms of what we see and what we know and what we understand. It's got to be bigger than that. If we wait for everything to be done by fully to the law, then we ain't going to be able to get progress. And I think too many men, there's I think another player got accused of rape the other day as well. It's just way too many instances, and we've got to manage it better.
You don't have to be convicted of anything. Bringing the brand into disrepute, being the brand being Man United, is enough. That's what I'm saying. We got a super chat here on the Jordan Henderson thing. Shout out to Ninja Stewart, who said, Jordan Henderson, in my opinion, is a typical example of being a virtue signaller. Take the moral high ground, but has been exposed. It's as simple as that.
Agreed.
So yeah, I mean, pretty much backing up what the table thought. Shout out to the subscribers, by the way, if you're watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button. We're in the final 12 minutes of official time before the 10 minutes gets added on. We had a really bad-tempered Mo Salah go off there, and it for him, this is my bread and butter here. I'm a big game player. I didn't sign that big deal to be coming off in the clutch moment against Chelsea in a do or die moment where everything's still to play for. And then we've got Chelsea now making their own subs. What do you make of these substitutions, Josh? Mudryk coming on?
Mudryk coming on pace in the last 10 minutes is a perfect sub, and I think that's very smart timing. And then Ian Maatsen has been brilliant in pre-season. It'll be interesting to see when Maatsen comes on. If he replaces Chilwell, then obviously it's like for like. He could come and replace Chukwuemeka, for example, and play as number 10 as a left back. That would be very interesting. Let's see if that happens.
Let's not forget that you guys have just lost Reece James again.
Yeah. Let's hope that's precautionary. It didn't look like it was that bad, but you never know.
When will I learn my lesson in fantasy football?
I know, mate. I know. I told you.
It's one of those, though, when you say precautionary, it's like... It's just another moment where you're like, he's just brittle.
Yeah. We literally spoke to it earlier, and then it's come true and it's manifested. And I'm glad they have Gusto to fall back on, because last year they really didn't have anybody, and it made it even more pressure for him to come back early and not fully recover. But I'd rather he take 6 months out and get really fit and last longer than keep coming back after 3 months and being injured.
The problem is because he is so key to the team, and we didn't have Gusto to this point. Yeah. We have ended up getting to the situation where he is so brittle, and he is so important. So here you go, Carney's coming off, and Maatsen will come on, I think.
Mudryk will be playing left wing, right?
Mudryk will probably, because it's 5 at the back, he'll probably play in one of the 10 positions just behind the strikers.
Yeah. But on the left side?
Yeah, probably on the left side, yeah.
I'm just thinking purely because of Trent being so open at times in this game, he could really exploit that space.
Yeah. So you've seen Maatsen come on there. Chilwell's still on, so he's going to be much more advanced, and we saw that in pre-season.
Chilwell's wearing an armband right now.
Yeah, so Chilwell is the vice captain this year.
I do love that Chelsea are putting, like, Maatsen coming on. It's not just him being on the bench, which sometimes can happen. He's actually on the pitch. Makes me really happy to see. It shows that there's an evolution of a plan. But I honestly, like, the fact that you're rotating players and none of them seem to be a definitive answer. Like, I'm not excited by what's coming on. I think
definitely this is like one of those seasons where we go. I feel like Chelsea need a year to just figure out who is the starting 11. Like, I don't think they can even know that. I think we need a trial and error.
I think they've done that to an extent. They've cleaned out a lot of players. This is now a young team with a manager who is the perfect manager for this kind of thing.
Darwin.
Oh, God.
He's not got a clue, fam.
I think as Chelsea fans, we acknowledge that this is a transitionary season. But that doesn't mean we can't do something.
No, it'll be better than last season.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I need it to be better than last season, mate.
I think they've got to start an 11 now, but what I mean is like, that will change over the course of the season, and then by then we'll have who are the main guys.
Nah, there's no way Chukwuemeka is the starting attacker.
It would be Nkunku, wouldn't it?
Yeah, remember we've just had that injury, and we're bringing in 2 other midfielders in Lavia and Caicedo. Apparently,
Caicedo's a game changer for Chelsea. If he comes in, that's unbelievable.
Well, if both of them come in, they could quite conceivably be in the starting 11, and then we go 4-3-3, and then we look. It's a very different formation. And it's a very different style.
So why are they not title contenders then? This is what I don't understand. What's missing for them being... They have no European football, so why not?
I think
it's the lack of proof, isn't it?
No, I think the point that we've been making over and over again, we've all said it at the table, is the lack of experience and the age profile of all of these players. You can't challenge for a title unless you have some form of experience, and that's what this season is. Chelsea fans, we're all very open about this. This is a transitionary season. It doesn't mean that we can't go and do something in it, but we're not going to be challenging for the league. I mean, for me, if I came on this show and said we are going to be challenging for the league, you'd laugh.
a charge.
No, but if you could justify it in terms of like, actually, if we get these 2 signings over the line and we have Nkunku coming back in a couple of months, we've actually got something.
4 months.
But still, it's half the season. He'll come back just
MCL.
in time, and you still got Jackson and other players around. I don't know why we're not talking about them to be more competitive. They are way more invested in terms of Arsenal last year.
We're going to be competitive.
There's no reason why not.
In the first game of the season that we've had, bearing in mind we've got to bed in all of these young players, we've just drawn against looking like we're going to draw against an elite, experienced team in Liverpool who were title challengers a couple of years
2 years ago. It's not Arsenal though, so it's not elite.
Yeah, I think that this is a really good building block for Pochettino. When I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, this will steady the nerves about who are Chelsea, what level are they capable of. Because I thought they looked good against Newcastle in pre-season. They've now backed that up with this performance. And if they can then start putting the teams below, like the bottom half of in the bottom half of the table to the sword, then you can start believing in them.
Yeah. Mudryk on the ball, cutting inside from the right.
Really explosive.
He's been brilliant. He's been brilliant in pre-season, Mudryk. He's looked really good. He's taken the number 10 shirt, which is a lot of pressure.
A lot
for
of
him.
people are upset about that. Isn't it? A lot
Yeah.
of Chelsea fans were.
Yeah.
Why would they be upset about
Well,
it?
it's just 'cause it's a big shirt, and has he proven that he's
Hazard.
deserved it? Yeah, and Hazard.
What happened to Eden Hazard?
Oh.
What happened, guys?
He could retire, by the way. He's only 31.
Bro.
It's such a shame.
depressing.
Do you know what? I always said he wasn't as good as Neymar.
Oh, come on.
Or Salah.
Come on.
It was one of those
Or
things,
Bale.
though, where he
Did
got
it in the
kicked.
Prem, though, didn't he?
Come on.
He did it in the Prem.
He did it on a cold night at Stoke.
Exactly.
And
And he changed games.
Not to say he wasn't a great player, but I just never. There was people who would talk about him in that elite level.
He was
bracket.
in that elite level.
No,
He
with,
was.
with respect.
No.
with respect.
100%.
He was elite. Yeah, but there's levels within that elite level bracket, and he wasn't as high as what Neymar went to, in my opinion.
He was
Bale.
a player.
Or
100 he was on that level. He was 100% a player that could come on and run a game himself. He could completely change the course of a game himself, pull it by the scruff of the neck, and make things happen.
Yeah, but
he did that over and over and over
He was
again.
a great player, but I just mean he didn't go to the levels that others in that era did, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I feel like when he went to Madrid, it was exposed that he wasn't. at
No,
that
he
level.
went to Madrid when he'd been kicked for years off the park, and he had hamstring.
Cry me a river.
And
Come on.
Thierry Henry was hugged
Come on.
in the Premier League. They hugged him throughout all of it. Come on, man.
Let's have it then, Josh, because you're obviously a big fan. What did go wrong with Eden Hazard?
He had hamstring injuries, which for a player which relied on acceleration.
Limited ability. I'm joking. No, but yeah. So you think this was because I
just got injured.
I thought elite mentality and application were part of his problem as well. Of like
He didn't train.
He didn't
heard
need
that
to
from
train.
he looked a bit of a fatty, and that's coming from me.
You heard that from Chelsea
But
players.
and I just did. I thought that when it was time to have that level of self-belief to go to that next level and dominate Europe, I feel like he just didn't have that upstairs the way.
He didn't have the desire.
Yeah, whereas I felt like, Neymar obviously has his own issues, but when they were
Neymar's-
compared the two, I always thought Neymar was that guy. above
Neymar's better technically. I'll say Bale is better physically and technically. And I just feel like, for me, he didn't have the application. And I feel like, what player was doing TV interviews? Was it Bar or Drogba? Or somebody was saying, like, Hazard, if you train and you applied yourself, you would be the best in the world. And he didn't.
Drogba said that
Who
he
was
was
it?
one of the best in the world.
No, but he
Drogba
said that he
that he
doesn't
didn't
train.
train.
He said he's
Drogba said that he
lazy.
didn't train. That doesn't mean anything. And look, if you turn up on the
Training is like a fundamental. Are you Carmelo Anthony? Practice?
No, but if you turn up on the pitch, well, put it this way. Would you rather have the best trainer in the world that is rubbish on a Saturday?
Yeah, no, for
I'd
me,
rather have the opposite.
You take Hazard for 5 years, but after 5 years, if he's going to be burnt out
think of a
versus
boxer
someone
just
like a Milner or a Henderson who are going to last for 15 years, really and truly, 5 hot years isn't enough anymore
Come on.
to talk about being the greatest.
I think you can just get an injury that affects you in a way that it
But he also
completely
didn't
changes
train.
your game.
The rumours of the actual teams, players that were around him said he didn't train. He definitely did so.
But he'll be amazing on game day.
Yeah, which is great, but
Didn't-
you can't do a 10-year career like that. So to have a big
the-
conversation about him being the best is impossible.
Looking into the general criticisms of what Real Madrid, what happened, where it went wrong there, is he just wouldn't run enough. It was a lack of effort, is what they're accusing him of, more so than
end product.
anything else.
But if that was the case, he wouldn't be going to retirement now. There wouldn't be no conversation because another team might be able to
Suicide.
get something out.
I thought there was one
What
season
was that,
where Hazard
Sanchez?
was third best player in the world.
Yeah.
I would say.
I think that
What
you're
point
right.
was that?
I think when he
Don't know what year it was.
he peaked at a point where I think he scored like
20 goals, got
Yeah, it was
20
20
goals
goals and however many assists. And he was that guy, but it didn't last away. I felt like if you're looking at other players who were below than Messi, Ronaldo, you're looking at Bale and Neymar and players like that. They did it more consistently. They did it for longer. They achieved more. They racked up all those trophies. They had more standout moments where they like the Bale overhead kick in the final. Like they left those memories. Whereas with Hazard, I felt like, for Chelsea, yes, he would run the show for against a lot of these poor Premier League teams at times.
Oh no!
But
Come on, he did it in the biggest games. He won some of the biggest trophies. I'm not having that he didn't turn up in the biggest games.
It's the
That's rub-
2018-19 season.
but the point
that
I'm
he was
making
top
is
top.
he absolutely did it in the biggest games. He absolutely won some of the biggest trophies. But did he do it on the level of his competition that he was constantly compared with?
No.
Absolutely not.
There's
Not even close.
There's revisionism going how bad he was at Madrid when he was clearly injured and clearly
injured
waning
for
in his
4
No,
years.
I'm not just talking about Madrid. I'm talking about at Chelsea. Yes, he was great, but was he as good as his competition?
At Chelsea, right until the end, right until the moment that he left, he was our best player. Right until
But
the
was he
moment that
Bale and
Apart from one
Neymar? Was he Bale and
I'm
Neymar?
not
In
sure
the-
about Neymar being in the. You know, we said earlier
do.
about players being. I can't remember the exact term that you used, but we said who were we talking about at the start?
I think we were talking about being carried by your teammates, Raheem Sterling, a little bit.
Neymar was brilliant when he was with
Emerson.
Suarez and Messi, was it?
Yeah.
Like when he's gone to PSG and has he? You know,
What has he done? What has he won?
Has he taken the weight? I would say Hazard.
But the fact that he still played is still a
Yeah,
massive
that's
part
fair.
in terms of like
That's
a weighting of it all. But in reality, Hazard only having a career up until 2018-19 works against him. No matter how you look at it, if you're not there to play, we can't continue to talk about you.
Big
in
tournaments,
comparison.
Neymar, internationals. Brazil,
He was
didn't he, didn't he?
Exactly.
I think he did very well for Brazil on a couple of big occasions. But again, he's a top goal scorer. But again, he's continued to play up until now. The fact that you're retiring at
He's about to
31
go to
is
Saudi. He's about to go to Saudi.
Well, you might be going to Barcelona, but,
might be to Barcelona, to be fair. They still actually want him. No one wants Hazard.
I think my main point about the Hazard thing isn't that he wasn't great. He was an absolutely tremendous footballer, but at the time he was just constantly compared to other players. And I think when we look at it now, having the whole picture, I just felt like Bale and Neymar reached higher heights than he did. And I think that there's a clear gap between what Hazard was able to do and what they were able to do.
Can we add Salah, please? Because I want Salah in that conversation as well, because I think Salah is the perfect example of someone who, again, for me, has outshone Hazard over the long period of his career.
Yeah, I'd go along.
yeah.
I'd go along with that. I'd go
Yeah,
along
Are you all right?
Oh,
What do you
what's
reckon about
that? Is
It
that
was
handball
after. It
going
was
on?
after an offside.
What do
It was
you
after an
reckon,
offside.
Josh? Salah versus Hazard. How do you feel about that?
I think in terms of better legacy in the Premier League, the way that Salah is going to carry on playing, probably have two more years probably in the Premier League. When it's all said and done, he'll probably have a bigger legacy. But in terms of the impact for Chelsea, Hazard was huge. Hazard literally got us through a period of time where if we didn't have him, we would have been like out of Europe. We would have been not challengers at all. He did that by himself. So that's the thing. Like I almost look at players that make a significant impact in a way where they don't need other players around them. They don't need people to give them assists. That guy would pick up the ball. He did it against Liverpool, in the Carabao Cup. Like he picked up the ball and completely changed the game. He did it against Spurs. He did it against West Ham.
I remember.
There were so many goals that he has done. Where
Nobody's
he
disputing
brought it out of
that.
nothing.
It's more just comparing him to the Bale and Neymars. Like that's
No,
my
I
thing.
think Salah is a discussion 100%.
Not a discussion. I
Bale-
think it's a complete.
It's-
It's not even a discussion.
Salah and
It's
Bale
fine.
are clear. I think Neymar is the closest discussion only because of just the PSG didn't win the Champions League. But I think if he did, we would have to put him
And
on
he
top
left.
as well.
Remember, Neymar left Barcelona to get out of
I
Messi's
feel like-
shadow,
I-
and he went into Mbappe's shadow.
I look at Neymar's time at PSG, kind of not quite as bad as
the hair
Hazard.
out. The hair
Yeah, that's
out.
loose.
Whoa!
Wow.
Wow, the ponytail.
It was a
that guy
deflection.
has-
I thought he
Ponytail
done
power.
I thought he done Haaland. You know when Haaland took his hair out against Arsenal, and he scored.
He did really
Crazy.
well here.
I kind of
Okay.
look at
He's wearing it down.
Neymar at PSG a little bit like Hazard at Madrid, but not as bad as that.
Oh,
like,
God. Yeah, no,
like,
no.
like Neymar has had his injury problems. It hasn't quite been the same. Like recently, he's missed a lot of games, but it hasn't been that bad.
It's a disappointment, to be honest, Neymar. And I feel like if he looks back on his career, it didn't even really have the Ronaldinho level for me. Where I feel like Ronaldinho has a much better legacy than
Ronaldinho doesn't
absolutely.
get talked about enough.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
unbelievable.
I think that with Ronaldinho, though, if we were looking at like numbers and trophies and that, Neymar probably hasn't beat. But Ronaldinho
streets would
made us feel a certain way.
Yeah.
Whereas Neymar, actually, statistically, is probably. But Neymar, you know.
Oh my goodness! Look at this run.
Go on.
Look at this
Go
run.
on.
Pace.
Go on.
Finish
Go
it,
on.
please.
Go on.
Pass. Oh,
What a
penalty, penalty,
Great
penalty.
defending.
I'll
Great
tell you what.
Send him off.
This has been a really solid game.
This has
Great
been
game,
a
man.
brilliant game.
Jackson there used the strength, used the pace,
was brilliant.
and that showed why he's starting.
I thought
for
it was
Chelsea
the
at number
other
9.
kid.
No, that was Jackson there.
We never know do it. I thought it was Dave. Was it Dave?
Mudryk rounded the keeper. Mudryk
Dave's
rounded
gone,
the keeper,
unfortunately.
but he took too big of a touch, right?
did,
Yeah, he did.
And yeah, going back Neymar, you know the thing about him is application as well. Like similar like the
Yeah.
Hazard is Neymar. Guaranteed spends far more time playing poker than he does thinking about football.
He just
He
has
is
too much
obsessed
money.
with poker.
How do you motivate someone that has that much money? He has a club level. He has probably more money than Championship
But it's
clubs.
never been a problem for like I understand Bale with golf and that, but like Messi and Ronaldo had it, don't they? They just like never stop trying to score goals. Like even Ronaldo in the Saudi league's a lunatic. But yeah, Neymar I just think he's lost the hunger for
It's a
it.
sad end. Like the fact that he can't even leave PSG and go to another European club is clear that people just don't want that type of player around. And for me personally, I hope Arsenal never go down this route.
They won't.
I feel like Havertz is the closest to like that kind of buying a player on his name. And just like we have an
Galactico.
incredible, hungry young squad. I just want to maintain that. For me, Declan Rice, him coming for me is the first time I've seen Arsenal at the big table buying the players who clearly would be great for us. Normally we pick up fringe players and turn them into great players, but that's us at the table saying, look at us, and I want to maintain that. Please don't go out and start buying people who just have a name and a Champions League trophy but don't deliver.
Is it a mistake then to sign Havertz?
It's too early to say because I trust Arteta
But what's
way
your
too
gut
much.
saying? What's your gut saying?
My gut is saying I don't understand it yet, and I need to see where he fits in. And
His
when
guy is saying, I'm terrified.
He's got to say, I don't understand it.
No.
That's never a good thing, is it?
No,
70
but-
million.
no, but
I don't understand it.
No, but understand that I had a similar
told
feeling to Odegaard because I think it was between James Maddison and Odegaard, and I was like, I want James Maddison. I don't see why we're buying Odegaard. But now, upon reflection, of course, it was a much better idea. So I trust Arteta more than what I know. He sees something, and there's something that he wants from him that I feel he'll get more chance of getting out than anyone else, any other manager. So the jury's out.
Great result for Chelsea, by the way.
Well,
Yeah,
everyone really.
overall, I think that's a fair result based on the game, and I think
Should have won.
I think we should have won, but I think over the course of the entire 90 minutes, and I feel very proud of the boys the way they played there. There was a lot of debuts there. There were a lot of young players playing against experienced players, and I think overall, I'm chuffed with that result.
Who was the better team to the neutrals?
Chelsea was
Chelsea.
absolutely
Chelsea?
after that
Do
goal.
you think so, Mo?
Chelsea, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so too. I think if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be a little bit worried that we are the established, experienced side playing against a bunch of players who are very new to each other, and yet yes, it's at Stamford Bridge, but I felt Chelsea had a good amount of control of the game. They had some really good chances, and Liverpool started rapidly and then faded, and I never felt like they came back to that level of dominance from the early part of the game, the first 20 minutes or so. So yeah, a good start for Poch, I think. And
Lovely stuff.
you don't want, like you said, young players are so much more confidence-based. It's easier for their heads to go down and to struggle to get them back into it. So that would be great for him to go, look, we've just been there against Liverpool, set our stall out, we were equal to them.
Yeah.
And not every game is going to be this hard.
This guy's Poch's mentality is obviously rubbing off on these young players, and this is why he almost was the perfect manager at this time of our evolution as a squad. He's shaping them in a way that he's going to be able to convey their ideas that he would never have been able to do last season with those players, those existing elite, like experienced level players, Galactico level players.
You're gonna love Poch, man.
I'm
You lot
loving
are
it
gonna-
already, mate.
You
I'm
lot are
loving
gonna
it
love
already.
Poch, man. I know Spurs fans. This is the guy because when I wanted Poch at Man United before Ten Hag, I didn't know nothing about Ten Hag. Very happy with the decision we made in the end, but it's like you could see what with the handbrake that he had on him his whole time at Spurs.
No one
how
gave him
he-
credit for that.
No one
So many
gave him
Manchester
credit.
United fans, when they were saying, we don't want Poch is shit, yada, 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 I was listening like, this man literally got Spurs, who are in the top, who are literally a bit of a laughingstock for being Spursy,
Spurs.
into the Champions League final, and you're looking down your nose with Ollie at the wheel. Are you joking? So what's interesting now is, is those Manchester United fans who really did not rate Poch, didn't think he was any good, they now get a chance to be right because surely he's going to fail at Chelsea.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we're going to see.
We're going to see. And oh man, but obviously I want my manager to do way better, right? Because United. So I'm hoping that Ten Hag blitzes him. But you can
He
already
should
see,
do though, right?
You can see that
This
even
season,
though
he should do.
He should.
You've got the established team, the established players. Poch has
Absolutely.
got a bunch of kids compared to Ten Hag.
Absolutely, we should.
Yeah.
But then let's not, guys. He's not shoestring budget now. This guy can buy whatever he wants,
Yeah.
so he should be up there as well. But I'm just saying that what you can see with Poch walking around on the pitch and the connection with the young players and stuff, you already see like he feels like he's already at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the thing that I'm looking at the end of that game. He's walking around and he's gone toe to toe with a Liverpool side. He didn't play. Most managers will play Liverpool and say, "Oh, let's think about what they're going to do here." Nope. We don't. These players don't know each other. We're going to try and play our brand of football. So you have to give them some credit for that.
I think this is a big plus for Chelsea. Not a negative for Liverpool, but did we see, like, the result isn't a negative, but what did we see in the Liverpool performance? What do you guys
They
think?
need Caicedo more than we realised. They need him. There's no way they're going to go a whole season with this particular midfield. They didn't dominate the game. They were much better in attack for periods of the game, but Chelsea came back in and covered all the margins. I personally feel like they're actually in a bit of trouble upon looking on this because that player that they need doesn't exist very easily. Like, where are you going to find that defensive midfield that's going to sit there and hold that? So I'm interested to see what
If they
do in
lose
the next
both
2 weeks.
Caicedo and Lavia, Dan, what do you mean?
By the way, Lavia's, but just very quickly, Lavia's not the answer to
No,
the
he's
problem.
not a six. He's not the ball winner that's going to sit there. He's very press resistant, very good on the ball, Lavia, and he's going to be a sensational player. But he's not a lone number 6. I think Liverpool will be looking to pair someone with McAllister, and obviously Caicedo would have been perfect because they've played together at Brighton in those 2 roles as well. Unless they sign a 6. They're not going to get top 4 because I think they're stronger teams. I think there's definitely 4 stronger teams.
Yeah, as a Newcastle fan, I watched that today and I thought
Newcastle
we
stronger.
would beat you right now.
Look at your midfield.
We've got multiples of what you're looking for.
Yeah,
Do you
your
know what I mean?
midfield's unbelievable options now. Willock and Longstaff not even in the team yesterday, who've been really good at
Yeah,
Eddie
like
Howe.
even Longstaff, right? Because this isn't me saying Liverpool should go and sign Longstaff, but the fact is we have multiple backups for what you guys are looking for. So I just feel like as a top 4 contender now, when I look at Liverpool, I go, you just so clearly have this weakness that, and we might not have the world class players that you have. We don't have a Mo Salah or even some of the other players you got like Van Dijk, but we haven't got the weaknesses that you do. So I think
I'd agree with
that's
that.
essential for Liverpool to put that right before this window closes.
Do you know what is a shame as well for Liverpool today? That bit, when it doesn't go the manager's way, when the manager's not a genius and he takes off a Salah and the player that's supposed to come on doesn't deliver, it makes things awkward. It just brings the pressure because Salah's gone off and usually the player that comes on scores and then you cut to Salah and he's smiling, celebration.
Or at least has a moment.
Yeah, but then nothing happens. It's like, wait, you took me off for no reason. And the player almost feels justified in their anger.
Oh yeah, he will be.
towards the manager.
I've made my point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in a weird way, he'll be happy because I'm right.
He's
do we
right
think,
in this
Do we
one.
think we're going to hear a bit more about that Salah reaction, or do you think that's going to be one of
I
those
think
things
it's
that
happened
Klopp will just
before.
laugh?
It's
Do you
happened
think?
before.
It's a bit like the
Salah's
Haaland
done it
thing,
a
isn't
couple
it?
of times.
Is there not
Half-time
much
with
to
Pep.
it?
Nah.
We've got a super
Liverpool
chat before we wrap this up. Shout out to the chat once again. Big thanks to all the subscribers. Thoughts on the new rules regarding conduct towards referees? Many yellow cards for dissent over the weekend. Did you guys
time
notice
wasted.
that?
I know in the Newcastle Villa game, Douglas Luiz got booked for dissent early on in the game, and when Newcastle were pole driving Villa on the counter attack, it completely hamstrung him for the rest of the game. He couldn't put a tackle in, couldn't make a cynical foul, couldn't do anything. So the players are going to have to quickly cut that out.
Yeah,
because
Newcastle got one as well.
Yeah, it will cost players. It will cost players, and there'll be silly sending offs where you've been booked for dissent. And you'll make a tackle and you'll end up being sent off and completely changing games. So I think it's probably right, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, whatever the footballers do, it filters down to the grassroots. So if they see footballers doing less dissent, there'll be less dissent towards the grassroots.
It's about time.
Yeah, I think it's just going to take a while for people to wrap their heads around it because it's a habit of a lifetime of shouting at referees.
Bruno's in trouble.
Yeah,
Christ,
I hate that little bastard.
Bruno's, I love him, but he's in trouble. He's going to complain.
He'll get booked on
the Liverpool, before we wrap up, but on the Liverpool thing, I feel like after that game, the table is kind of like, Liverpool probably won't get top 4 at this rate. Unless they do that signing unless they make a huge signing.
I think it's
Like
a
Mark
few
said,
signings.
where is that player?
It's going to be a big 2 weeks. There's a lot of players to rotate and move around. Tottenham are going to do things, and we're not really talking about the fact they got 100 million in their pocket.
Oh, yeah,
we don't even.
burning
I'll be
Everyone
honest,
knows.
I don't think they have the infrastructure to spend it well, but they're going to do something, and we have to pay attention to what they're going to do. And if you look at Liverpool, they need to do things. So do Chelsea. There's like at least 3-4 transfers each on those teams if they're going to be really competitive. Arsenal, I think, can do a cheeky one more big
Man
signing
United's
for the
gonna
game.
do something.
Man United will do something. Man City are probably going to get 2 players. Man City, there's like a lot of transfers between the next 2 weeks, and I think
get exciting.
the last week will be very, very busy, and then I'll make a final call. But I'm excited about this Premier League, and it's really good to be back.
Well, it is good to be back. Big thank you to all of you lot who tuned in. We absolutely loved this show. Fantastic analysis from the boys. Really appreciate it, lads. Obviously, you can follow all the lads on their socials. We'll put the links in the description below after the stream. But big thanks to you lot. Catch us later and see yous.